the United Nations, making predictions that by 2050, we will be 9.7 billion people. If all these people get educated, get technologically empowered, 9.7 billion people or nearly 10 billion people on this planet is for sure going to be a disaster. Yes. We can make arrangements, we can improve the arrangements, we can make more energy-saving machines, we can recycle the shit.
Step aside, skim milk. You're done, almond milk. There might be a new milk coming to town and it's about to crawl right into the dairy aisle at the supermarket. Cockroach milk. Scientists are saying cockroach milk could be one of the most nutritious things you can drink.
I am not a bigot. I am not a science denier. Cockroach milk is so much more sustainable and nutritious than real milk. I am a good global citizen who gets his recommended daily dosage of vitamin TV. The planet is dying because I exist. The good grown-ups on the TV screen are trying to help us solve this #climate crisis by helping us sterilize ourselves and eat sustainable nutrient-fortified vegan kibble so our sick, sad, dying mommy Earth can feel all better. I'm going to ask my wife's boyfriend if it is socially acceptable to consume cockroach milk as an ethical vegan and animal rights activist.
Discovered cockroach milk has 4 times as much protein as cow's milk. 4 times as much.
Yes. We can do all this, no matter what we create, no matter how much we strive, whatever we build, everything is going to be insufficient because the planet is going to be insufficient. I was in a conference and I said, see, unless you reduce the human footprint on the planet, there is no solution for anything. Then they asked me a brilliant question, how do you reduce the human footprint? I said, you have to reduce the number of feet. That's the only way. I'm not saying children are bad, they're wonderful, but it's just too many. We as human beings, we are wonderful, but we are too many. We are so many that the insect population is going down. No, it's not a joke, it's very threatening. If the insect population disappears, the planet will be destroyed. Yes, the worms disappear, the planet will be destroyed. If you and me disappear, planet will flourish. Our life expectancy has improved. This means we have taken death into our hands. When we take death into our hands, it is our business to take birth also into our hands, isn't it?
I feel so empowered on my vegan climate activist hero's journey. We are all one. I am a highly evolved god who evolved from cosmic pond scum. We are all God. I am you and you are me. We're a happy family that needs to save its dying mommy from our toxic exhalations by taking #climate action now with the more evolved good grown-ups at governments, banks, and global corporations to help educate us how to get rid of ourselves and all the toxic extra human baby feet to decrease our atrocious carbon footprints and save the planet and evolution from ourselves because we are all one.
We're standing here, for this is an emergency. We're standing here, for all that we hold dear. We're standing here, for beauty and diversity. And we're standing in the love that binds us all. And we demand our government must tell the truth.
Climate change tops the environmental agenda at present. We all know that every additional person will need to use some carbon energy, if only for firewood for cooking, and will therefore create more carbon dioxide. Similarly, we can all see that every extra person is or will an extra victim of climate change. I mean, no one who privately disagrees that population growth is a problem. No one, except flat earthers, can deny that that planet is finite. We can all see it in that beautiful picture from our Earth, taken from the Apollo mission. Every one of these global problems, social as well as environmental, becomes more difficult and ultimately impossible to solve with ever more people. Thank you.
I am so glad the good grown-ups like David Attenborough and Prince Philip, friend of philanthropist Jimmy Savile, and the father of Prince Andrew, close friend of champion of science and philanthropist Jeffrey Epstein, are helping find solutions to all the extra people who need to stop existing. The hashtag climate crisis make me so sad. The totally real death threats from the climate are so scary, and I need the good government grown-ups to fix it and give 16-year-old human shield Greta her future back.
He promoted this on television, and he went around all the agricultural shows, and he had he was a one-man thing, and it had a tremendous effect. It reduced it from 3% to 1%. But one of the things he said to the farmers, he said, look, you don't need all these children, it's ridiculous. You've got to feed them all, clothe them all, educate them all, and look after their health. So have a few, and then if you want to go on entertaining yourself, have a vasectomy. Oh, yes. Well, how do I do that? Well, I'll organize it for you. We'll have buses running into Bangkok on the King's birthday, very auspicious day. And you will go into, and he took over a whole lot of school halls and that sort of thing. And he showed me a photograph of all these beds and everything, and people went in, and I said, but how did they take it? Well, he said they didn't like being seen to have the operation. Oh, I said, really, how do you do that? I had visions of, putting up. Oh, he said, it's quite simple, I blindfolded them.
I am so glad that Jimmy Savile's royal friend, Prince Philip, is helping all the extra people to not exist anymore.
What vegan birth control method would you recommend?
Vasectomy.
Hell yeah, baby! You heard him!
Well, get on board. Come on.
Yes, I love this guy.
Why should the women have to take pills? No.
I feel so empowered by the vasectomy I got from Dr. Gregor. We must help governments and media educate more people on the benefits of not having families or property, not eating real meat or animal foods, and living in smart city coffin apartment cubbies.
Don't screw the planet! Don't screw the planet!
The earth will be so happy and healthy if we eat sustainable nutrient-fortified vegan smart kibble that the good grown-ups at the transnational banks and corporations share with us.
You see, Fred's kids are millennials. They've just surpassed baby boomers to become the largest generation in American history. And they've all been moving back to the cities. But there are only so many houses and cars that can fit in a city. And this is where the sharing economy comes in. We now have these powerful computers, smartphones, in our hands.
I love sharing and do not hate science. The good grown-up champions of science like Jeffrey Epstein and his friends Bill Gates and Prince Andrew know what's best for me and the planet. I can't wait for the nice, happy, healthy corporate global technocratic government to ration and share resources with us. I wish I could help poor 16-year-old human shield Greta Thunberg to find a carbon-neutral ride back to Europe from America so she can meddle in the elections over there and save the planet from the extra people causing the totally real and not made-up hashtag climate crisis.
That led Greta Thunberg to take to social media to call for help. She said, I've traveled around halfway around the world, but in the wrong way. And now she's looking for a way to cross back in the Atlantic by this COP25 summit now in Madrid.
We have tons of time to turn things around. Well, not tons, but enough. Assuming we all act now. Last month, we had an ant problem at my house. going to sound strange, but I felt somewhat in awe of their teamwork. In fact, fire ants are experts at teamwork. They're pretty tiny, right? But when faced with large challenges like crossing a river, hundreds or thousands of fire ants can work together to build structures out of their own bodies, like rafts. As a result, they can carry the entire colony across the river. Collectively, they do what is necessary to save the entire group. We too can work together.
Rejoice. I've found a solution to Greta's transportation problem that will get her to Europe and help decrease our atrocious carbon footprint that's killing poor mommy Earth and stealing poor little Prince Philip, Greta, and Bill Gates' futures. We must use the extra people's surplus human bodies to make a giant raft that can bring this brave, 16-year-old human shield back to Europe so she can help the good grown-ups at the global banks and corporations create the happy, sustainable, totalitarian world government to fight the #climate crisis that is our fault because we exist. Nature provides the answers and the wisdom of children will guide us on our journey to sustainability on our renewable carbon-neutral giant human corpse raft.
The things humans fear most is that we will be powerful beyond our belief.
I am empowered beyond my belief to take #climate action against myself to save the planet from myself by drinking cockroach milk, eating vegan kibble, putting the pee-pee in the poo-poo, and sterilizing myself. I am not deceived. I am not being programmed to self-destruct by toxic weaponized pop culture. I'm going to ask my wife's boyfriend if this sustainable giant human corpse raft is vegan friendly.
How do you do that? I have visions of, putting up. Oh, we say it's quite simple. I blindfolded them.
What's up, bigots? What's going on, everybody? Got a bunch of people jumping in. How's that introduction? Y'all ready to take #climate action? Dr. Greger. I don't know. There's just something about Dr. Greger that makes me laugh every time. There's something about Dr. Greger's face, his mannerisms, his voice that just does it for me. I don't know. I don't know about you guys. But Dr. Greger, one of my favorite characters on the internet, gotta say. One of the funniest dudes out there. But today, we're not here just to talk about Dr. Greger. Although I'm sure Dr. Greger, His Holiness, the Dalai Greger, as the vegans consider him, I'm sure he'll come up. Today, we're here to talk about... Today, we are here to talk about Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz. The Diaz brothers. The Diaz brothers. The vegans like to claim these guys. The vegans like to pretend that these guys are vegan. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, Nate Diaz is not vegan. Nick Diaz is not vegan either. But the vegans love to claim these guys, right? They're actually one of the better examples of vegan-leaning athletes who've done relatively well despite the lack of nutrition, right? Despite the really, really poor nutritional habits. There are a lot of athletes who have really shitty nutritional habits. This is something I've noticed. A lot of athletes really have no idea what they're doing as far as nutrition goes, right? It's not surprising, right, that a lot of MMA athletes are very ignorant of how to feed themselves properly. Most MMA athletes train kind of on their own, right? This is not a team sport. You don't have a team. You don't have a team nutritionist. And there's not a lot of conventional wisdom surrounding proper nutrition within MMA. Now, every few years, there seems to cycle through some of these nutrition expert guru guys, right? Like we had like Mike Dolce, the Dolce diet, and a few of these other guys. I forget all their names, to be honest, because they seem to come and go. But there are some of these nutritionists, some of these coaches that help these fighters to make weight, that help these guys to manage their weight. But it seems like a lot of the stuff that gets promoted as far as the nutrition of these athletes go is basically just conventional bullshit wisdom, right? Conventional wisdom of, whole grains, right? Whole grains, fruits and vegetables, right? Completely bypassing the most important building blocks of an athlete's body, right? Animal foods, protein and fat, essential amino acids, essential fatty acids. There are no essential carbohydrates dietarily. Your body can make glucose. I'm not saying that a high-level athlete would want to do a ketogenic diet or want to do a very low-carbohydrate diet. What I'm saying is that we all have requirements for amino acids. We all got requirements for fatty acids. If you skip out on the animal foods, you're going to suffer. Your performance will suffer. Your health is going to suffer, and you're going to suffer mentally as well. I mean, we see it in the vegan population, right? We've been monitoring. We've been having some laughs. We've been milking for lulz the vegan community here on YouTube for a few years now. Right? There's some of them are funny, some of them are goofy. Some of them it's really sad to see suffer through this. Right? It's great to see a lot of them leaving. Right? Like in the video we just watched, in that intro part of the video, which you guys can find a couple of videos back on my YouTube channel. That video introduction that we just watched is called... What is it called? I forget the title of the video. I forget the title of the damn video. But in that video introduction that we just watched, there was a guy who Dr. Greger was so emphatically and really creepily enthusiastically telling to sterilize himself, telling him to get a vasectomy. Right? Dr. Greger, the king of vasectomy, high priest in the ancient order of vegan sterility. Dr. Greger was telling Jason Pizzino in that video to get a vasectomy. Jason Pizzino is now no longer vegan. He actually contacted me after seeing that clip on my Instagram. He DM'd me and was like, hey man, do you have that clip? Can I use it? And I told him, yeah man, you can definitely use it, but I pulled it from this lady Henya's YouTube channel. And he said, no, dude, I don't think you recognize me. I'm the dude in that video. I'm the guy that Greger said to get a vasectomy to. So Jason's no longer vegan. He saw the degeneration that was going on. He saw the nutrient deficiencies that were going on, all the people around him. He was doing relatively well on a vegan diet compared to most. Right? Again, Jason. Who else? Tim Sheaf. Who else? Bobby's perspective. All these guys who are relatively athletic, who try to do a vegan diet, who tried every which way to stay on a vegan diet, they all ended up leaving veganism, right? The Dr. Greger vasectomy guy, no longer vegan. A lot of these vegans are always talking about their examples of wonderful vegan athletes. A lot of them are not even vegan. And that brings us to Nick Diaz. So, Nate and Nick Diaz, both of them obviously really talented athletes, right? Obviously, both of these guys, very, very impressive athletes. Nick Diaz hasn't fought in a long time. I mean, the last time I remember Nick Diaz fighting was like GSP. This must have been like 8 years ago. Right? I don't know what's up with Nick. I don't know if he's going to fight again in the future. He had a pretty decent career, right? Wasn't the greatest welterweight, but fought some of the best welterweights, won some really good fights, and he's a super entertaining guy, right? It's hard to really hate on the Diaz brothers, right? And that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to hate on the Diaz brothers, not here to make fun of Nick Diaz and the struggles that he's going through. Not here to make fun of Nate Diaz for getting kicked in the head and beat up by Jorge Masvidal. We're here to discuss how diet might be screwing these guys up. All right, so you guys saw UFC 240, was it 6 or 246? Was that it? UFC 246. Weekend before this weekend, right? About a week and a half ago. Really good card. There were some great fights on it. Stephen Thompson had a great victory. Who else fought? Man, sometimes it's hard to remember, but the actual BMF so-called, which is like some made-up belt, title fight between Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. This was a highly anticipated fight. Both of these dudes really talented fighter. Both these guys really, really powerful fighters. And it delivered, right? It was a great fight. It was a really, really good fight. We got a super chat from Cowatarian. What's up, Cowatarian? You always throwing them super chats. Really appreciate it. Thanks you guys for the super chats, for keeping the streams going, for keeping this channel alive. These videos are regularly demonetized, hidden up in the algorithm. We know people aren't getting them notifications, but we keep pumping out this content. We keep talking about what's going on out here. We really appreciate your support. So thanks, Cowatarian. If you guys got any questions, If you guys got any things you guys want to touch on in the stream, make sure to hit us up with them super chats. Support the stream here. George Masvidal, Nate Diaz fight. Really good fight, right? Started out with some banter. And, of course, as with every Nate Diaz fight, someone's always going to bring up this vegan thing. Right? Someone's always got to bring up the vegan angle with Nate Diaz. He's claimed vegan in the past. Is he really vegan? Is he truly vegan? Is he on a vegan diet? Well, let's explore this a little bit. Where'd that window go? Got too many windows pulled up here. Here we go.
Hey, Nate. So you call yourself a badass motherfucker. How do you say that when you're a vegan?
I'm harder than anybody here. What's up?
What's up?
I guess we'll find out then.
Step your game up, dog.
All right. So from that clip, you might think Nate Diaz is a vegan, right? You got that 10-second clip, 20-second clip, whatever it was. Nate Diaz must be vegan, right?
I'm pretty much vegan all year round. I'm not 100% vegan. I do I'll have some eggs and some fish here and there, but
Mariscos Gente serves shrimp. Lots and lots of shrimp. The house special, camarones borrachos, or drunken shrimp. Sauteed in butter and garlic over high heat. Add cilantro and crushed peppers and finish with tequila.
What happened? Just paused. Am I still streaming? Nate Diaz. Great fighter. Not exactly vegan. Not exactly a vegan. Nate Diaz's brother Nick seems to be kind of the ringleader of the group, right? Nate really looks up to Nick. It's his older brother. Nick taught him everything about fighting, kind of got him into the whole fight world. Right? Nick is a veteran of the UFC, kind of brought Nate Diaz in. So Nate Diaz before that fight talking about being vegan, but not vegan. Vegan, not vegan, right? The vegans love to claim Nate Diaz as an example of somebody who's just doing so well on a vegan diet, doing it right, high-level athlete. Well, all right, not vegan. Not exactly vegan. So his brother Nick has been on this kind of vegan-ish kick for a long time. Nick talking about being a vegan. Let's hear. Here's a forum post from 2013. And they link to a Facebook message with Nick replies to a guy about his diet. It says he's not vegan, more vegetarian, eats eggs sometimes. In other ones, he's talking about being a raw vegan. This video got taken down. I don't know why it was not up anymore, but these people are talking about, Nick Diaz, older brother Diaz, is a raw vegan, right? Which is the worst form of veganism, right? The most indigestible form of veganism. The worst way of doing a vegan diet. All right, I haven't watched this clip yet, but he apparently talks about veganism in this clip. I have listened to this, and I know he talks about veganism early on. So let's hear what Nick Diaz has to say, what Nick's got to say about his diet. What is his diet, right? Is he vegan? Is he not vegan? Is he vegetarian? Is he pescatarian? Is he lacto-ovo-pesca-beefitarian? Is he a breatharian? Is he a weedarian? I don't know. It's not exactly clear. Let's check this out and see what's up with it.
Are you eating any meat at all?
No, I do some seafood sometimes, but I'm not like I'm not the biggest seafood fan anymore. Like, unless it's like some really good seafood. Like if we're in like Las Vegas,
that's landlocked.
You know what? I like.
But
I
they
think
FedEx it in. Maybe.
I don't care. They have great seafood there. They have high-end seafood restaurant. If you go to like Hawaii, everything by the beach or where it's all seafood. So it's like I started eating seafood again But I didn't eat it for years after that whole. People were just.
Fukushima?
Yeah, people were going off about it on the internet. It kind of freaked me out, and I started hearing about dead fish at the bottom of the ocean and stuff like that, and it just kind of grossed me out. But the thing is why I stopped eating seafood initially, because I always ate seafood when I went vegetarian, but I stopped because I was eating too much shrimp. I was eating too much shrimp. I was like, there's shrimp, and that's an option. I'm getting it. And so once I stopped, I was like, I never needed that fucking shrimp, and that's what was making me feel like shit eating shrimp because you get done training at 11:30 at nighttime, and now the only thing that's open is El Foros Roaster or El Forastero taco place, like that's a drive-through.
It's banging too, I bet.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I get sick of this shit. The taco trucks are better. That's another thing. I'm in New York right now, right? All the taco trucks here are Indian food. So
it's weird, right?
I feel like if a Lodi taco truck made its way out here and was just posted, it would fucking kill it. I mean, it gets freezing cold. I mean, you want some spicy hot sauce? You got lemon, jalapeno. Like, I got a veggie burrito, and you got tongue tacos and carne asada and all that stuff. People like that shit would kill it out here. I'm like, that's exactly what I would want if I was freezing my ass off. It's another thing is they don't have any. There's no Vietnamese. There's like no pho. There should be like a pho restaurant on every corner. I've seen Korean food everywhere. I've not seen any.
All right, so lots of shrimp. Said he didn't feel so good when he was eating a lot of shrimp. Then he talks about where he's getting that shrimp. He's getting it from a freaking taco truck at 11:30 at night when he's done training. It's a shitty little taco truck with some shitty-ass farm shrimp. Actually, most of the farm shrimp, I don't know if you guys know this, most farm shrimp is actually fed here in Ecuador. Ecuador is a major shrimp exporter. Some of it's wild. Some of it is farmed. The farmed stuff eats what's called balanceado. Balanceado is kibble, right? They feed the shrimp soy-based kibble. That's all imported from the U.S. It's all imported from these big agricultural conglomerates that are consolidating the food supply worldwide that want to feed you the kibble directly now under the guise of a plant-based diet. All right, so he's eating shitty quality shrimp. He's eating shitty taco truck food all the time, right? Not really too surprising that he had issues with it, right? So is it the shrimp that's messing him up? Is it the low-quality shrimp? Or is it the shitty-ass taco truck food that he's eating? Right, this shrimp's probably soaked up in a bunch of vegetable oils and stuff. He's eating it with a tortilla that's fried in vegetable oils. Right? Probably not the best diet. Okay, so thinks the shrimp is the problem. Now, of course, I don't know what this dude's eating all the time. I don't know what Nick Diaz is eating every day. I don't know what he's been eating his whole life. I don't know his dietary history. A lot of this is, of course, us speculating, right? We got to listen to what he says he eats. Take his word for it. And consider other factors that are going on, right? This dude travels a lot. Kind of stressful lifestyle. He's really into partying too, right? Like, so if you look at like Nick Diaz's, where is that? There you go. Nick Diaz Instagram. Let's see. Oh, he's not partying. Almost every time you...
Food here at this mall. Chinese food and everything else they eat. And Forever 21.
All right, so Forever 21. Leslie Wexner, doesn't he own Forever 21? Degenerate place that sexualizes children. That's the first time. That's really cool to see. That's the first time I've looked at his Instagram stories and not seen him wasted. A lot of his stuff over the last couple of years just been partying, right? Like little clips of him with chicks in the club, dancing in the club, smoking blunts in the club, drinking in the clubs, right? So the guy's got a hectic lifestyle, not exactly the healthiest lifestyle. A lot of factors that are really detrimental to health, right? Late nights, going out partying in clubs, taking shots to the head for years and years, right? Taking a bunch of blows to the head for years. I mean, not exactly the healthiest lifestyle. But the diet's not going to help him much, right? If you're just eating veggie burritos, if you're trying to play around with like a raw food diet as a really high level athlete, this is one of the worst things you can do, right? Cutting out animal fruits from the diet, cutting out the foods that have all the essential amino acids and fatty acids that we require, cutting out cholesterol from the diet, really big mistake. We get led to believe that cholesterol is bad, that animal foods are bad for us, when in fact animal foods are the only essential foods. All else is extra. You can live exclusively off of ruminant meat. You can live only off of meat. In fact, people have been studied under observation, right, in 1930. Stephenson and Anderson at Bellevue Hospital were observed on an all-meat diet for 1 year in a study that we talked about a couple streams back. So it's well known that you can survive on all meat. Can you survive without supplementation, without drugs, without B12 injections, on an all-lentil diet, or on an all-broccoli diet, like, what's his name, Dr. Barnard said the other day? Or, like Dr. Greger said, you know, the most, some of the least, what does he say? What do you say? Well, you know, the most easy to digest foods is sweet potatoes. You do a diet of all sweet potatoes. There's an elimination diet, sweet potatoes and tapioca. Dr. Greger said. Right? Terrible advice, right? No protein, no essential fatty acids, things like zinc, things like carnitine, right? Essential minerals, essential vitamins. You get all of these. Everything you need from animal foods. Plant foods, not saying they're terrible, not saying they're bad, not saying everybody should avoid them. But they're far inferior protein sources. They're far inferior fat sources. You're not going to find a single healthy fat source of significant amount of essential fatty acids in the plant kingdom. Right, these vegans say, oh, well, look, these animals are real big. Check out an ox. An ox is really big. An ox has multiple stomachs, and it's eating all day long to maintain its weight. It's eating hundreds of pounds of food every single day of indigestible grass that we cannot consume. And so a lot of these arguments that these people make, very, very basic bitch level arguments, come from a lot of these honeymooning vegan so-called athletes, right? I can't think of a single long-term, high-level vegan athlete in the world. I cannot name one. Now, the Game Changers film, of course, that just came out, talks about plant-based, right? Well, Nick Diaz is plant-based. Nate Diaz is plant-based. What does plant-based mean? What does it even mean? It means nothing. Right? Plant-based means absolutely nothing. There is zero consistency in the claims these people make, right? They talk about, oh, plant-based diet. That could be anything. Okay? I can eat some rice and beef, and I call that a plant-based diet. Because the bowl of rice was bigger than the beef. So it's mostly plant-based. Mostly plant-based. Just like Nick and Nate Diaz. Mostly vegan, but eating fish all the time. Eating seafood all the time. All right, let me jump over here to the chat. I see a couple of familiar faces here. What's up, everybody? Kinderly, thank you so much for the kind words and the nice review on the Keto and Carnivore Collective. We really enjoyed having you here in the last month at our Keto and Carnivore Collective. That's our group coaching. We're doing our next Keto and Carnivore Collective starting next Monday. So you guys can sign up this week. There's a link down in the description below. Kinderly says the Keto and Carnivore Collective is an amazing experience. Thank you, Tristan and Jessica, for this timely program that changed my life. Thank you for the reminder. Next coaching session starting on Monday, the Keto and Carnivore Collective. Way better way of doing coaching than private coaching, right? I still do private coaching. In fact, sometimes private clients like to do private coaching, and then we add them in on the Keto and Carnivore Collective if they want to join for that month. But the Keto and Carnivore Collective, it's a really effective way of setting up the habits that you need that you can maintain long term. You got a lot of people looking for fat loss, a lot of people looking to gain some muscle. Right? Different approaches, different people at different stages in their journey. Some people who've already been doing a keto or carnivorous approach for long term, they want to dial it in. Some people who are wanting to use this approach to teach their own clients, right? A lot of coaches come through the Keto and Carnivore Collective to learn how to implement this in people in their own practices. So you guys join us next month. We are starting on, it's this month rather, we are starting on Monday. You can sign up, there's a link down in the description below. See if there's any super chats over here. Thank you guys, as always, for the super chats. If you guys got any questions, we could do a little Q&A. We always appreciate when you guys support the channel here, because these do get demonetized. These do get hidden in the algorithms. And I can tell that not that many people have been notified of this one, right? The last one we had like 400 people in here. This one we got a little bit under 200. So make sure to share it. Make sure to hit the like. Got 200 people watching, only 50 people liking it. Like it, guys. Hit that thumbs up. It helps this slide into the algorithm and hopefully maybe get shared by YouTube. But, you know, we don't really hit on those advertiser-friendly topics here, unfortunately. All right, so Nick Diaz on nutrition.
Making some spaghetti
to show people, you know, the contradictory.
Some hamburger meat and some processed sauce. And next to me a bunch of shit. Hardest thing in the world. Yeah, not eat.
There's a debate here. Let's talk about it. Then when you eat meat, you eat this meat, but this meat got the nutrients from the ground, from the dirt, from the whatever grew in the day, and they're eating it. So you're getting it secondhand, really. And the thing is, we're eating. Well, I have to eat this meat. I have to eat this meat. You know. No, you can eat green food. I don't know. Am I getting enough protein? Am I getting enough stuff? I'm like, right, because you're eating insufficient green food. You're eating insufficient everything. You know, it's got to, it has to have enzymes. It has to be raw, and you're cooking it, and we're cooking it. So there goes a half the nutrients. Plus, it's already insufficient. So it's non-organic. So there's nothing. The food value.
Oh man. So he's not into this anymore, right? This is 2012. He's talking to Ronda Rousey. He's like in their living room, telling her about nutrition. He's schooling her on his woke, raw vegan nutrition. All right, so he went through this phase where he was thinking, yeah, if you don't eat it raw, you're not getting all the enzymes, you're not getting all the nutrition from it. Cooking food kills the nutrition, which, yes, cooking food does modify foods sometimes, right? Some foods have some nutrients destroyed in cooking, but other foods have nutrients liberated, have nutrients unlocked when you cook it, right? Especially with like these greens. He's saying, oh, you're not eating enough greens. You're not eating enough leafy greens. It's just nonsense. Nobody needs to be eating loads of leafy greens. Leafy greens are not going to improve anybody's performance. In fact, if you start to focus on mostly leafy greens, the only thing it's going to help your performance with is shitting all the time. It's going to help you to shit all the freaking time, right? Lots of leafy greens. Yes, on paper, spinach has nutrients. On paper, spinach might look like it has lots of calcium. But guess what? There's also a lot of oxalic acid in these leafy greens, like spinach. Oxalic acid binds up to calcium, to potassium, to magnesium, and it creates things like calcium oxalate kidney stones, which can actually create major problems, right? Oxalates can also collect in joints, at old injury sites. You're interested in oxalates, and I'm not saying everybody's going to be sensitive to these. All right, there are some people who this doesn't seem to affect as much, but loads of spinach are not going to help any athlete take their shit to the next level. Maybe I said that wrong. It might help take their shit to the next level of messiness in the toilet, but they're not going to take their career to the next level. Simo196060 send in Australian $10. There we go. We got some Aussies in the chat. Hold it down over there in Australia, pushing back against the vegan propaganda. Loads of these vegan whacktivists living in Australia. He sends 10 Australian bucks. Thanks a lot for the super chat, man. Much appreciated. Let's keep those super chats going, guys. Where are all the super chats at? Where's Garland Farms? He's always starting these cascades.
Shit. Then we cook it, so whatever food value it does have is shit. So yes, you do need some meat. You're like, you better eat meat. You're gonna fucking die. Because the animal ate right, but you don't know how to eat right. It's a goddamn animal. You should be able to figure it out, you know? Animal can do it.
So just total nonsense, right? So you have to eat meat only because you're not eating enough raw greens. You're not eating enough raw vegetables, right? You're not eating enough grass like a cow or an ox. You're not eating enough poop like a gorilla or an elephant, right? Because remember, gorillas and elephants will eat their own shit to get the nutrients they need because they're not digesting all those plants so well. So even these animals that have completely different guts that are designed to digest all these plants, even they got issues with it. Even they're eating their own shit. So really bad advice here on nutrition from Nick. Now, this is from 2012. Was this a 3 or 4 month time when he got really into this nonsensical raw vegan idea? Right, a lot of these vegans, they get into the vegan diet, they feel like shit, right? They're craving animal foods. And they think they just need to detox more, right? Oh, I got to detox. I'm detoxing. I get all the toxic animal foods out of me. I don't know if Nick was going through one of these crazy vegan phases here or if he stuck with it long term. Right? I would have expected him to lose a lot more muscle mass if he really did stick with a raw vegan approach long term. But fortunately for him, he was still eating shrimp, still eating fish regularly. But that's just some of the worst advice I've ever heard. So if Nick Diaz is telling this kind of shit to Nate, right, who looks up to him, right? Nick's like his dad kind of in some ways, right? I don't know if they grew up with a father or not, but, you know, he looks up to Nick. He loves him. It's his big brother, right? He respects him. He listens to everything he says. He worships the ground the dude walks on. If he's telling him this nonsense, then I feel really bad for Nick. I mean, Nate. right? Like if Nate was buying this stuff, if Nate was buying into this and using this nutrition advice in his career, this could be a major hurdle for him. This could be a major stumbling block that could be holding back his performance. Let's see, Nick Diaz says, eat more greens.
Actually, no, the animals aren't doing it anymore, though. They're just feeding the animals shitty, insufficient food, and then they're eating the animals, so it's just fucking up, and then they're just like, our animals are dying from this and that because the food's insufficient, so let's fucking shoot them up with steroids. Plus, they'll get twice as big, and then we'll make more meat, and then all of a sudden we'll start, a few generations down, we'll have some retarded cows. Oh, well, we won't tell you about that. Let's feed everybody meat, and then, you know what I mean? Like, just think about what happens, really. You get retards, you get cancers, you get every 90% or 90% of all cows have something called paratuberculosis. You do not want to put that in your body. Something called paratuberculosis. You guys are getting plenty of that paratuberculosis right now.
Damn. All right. So
right, but you don't know.
Nick being an obnoxious, preachy vegan right there, right? It's the first time I saw that clip. It's pretty disappointing, right? I mean, there's a high-level athlete. Guy was at the top of his game probably around, 2010, 2011. When was Nick Diaz at the top of his game? I think in 2012 he was still fighting. I think back then, 2012, he was still fighting. I don't remember what his last fight was. But this is pretty atrocious diet advice, right? Like if this was, if I was this guy's agent, right? If I was Nick Diaz or Nate Diaz's agent, I would be pretty concerned about their performance if they were eating this type of diet, right? And of course, these guys still were able to perform at a high level, even with those nutrient deficiencies of being on this vegan-ish, whatever you want to call it, vegetarian-ish diet, with this dogmatic fear of meat, this beefophobia, right? And they still performed really well. All right, so it's a testament to them as athletes, as hard-working dudes. But what's sad is a lot of people are real stubborn, right? A lot of these really high-level athletes, especially in these kind of solo sports, right? Boxing, MMA. These are guys, they run their own program, right? They don't have... Some of these guys got a team around them. They got a manager. Some of them are using nutritionists and stuff. But the world, it's kind of full of grifters too, right? The nutritionist world, like as far as like MMA athletes go, it seems to be mostly dudes that are trying to make these athletes dependent on them, right? They've all got the magic formula. I'm going to do your blood test and I'm going to use some bullshit lab test to tell you exactly what you should eat and what you're going to be sensitive to and what you're genetically inclined to be eating, right? A lot of these dudes, they have gimmicks, right? A lot of them are just looking to milk athletes for money. A lot of them are looking to make athletes, pay them to basically come to their home and then feed them. Right, come to their home and give them the pre-prep meals. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. There is a lot of confusion in the nutrition world, and a lot of these people that promote nutrition make a lot of money off of milking people out of that confused state. So I don't know who's advising these dudes on nutrition. I don't know if anybody is. It seems to me like Nick was just looking up shit on the internet and buying into a lot of the hype. Right? I mean, it seems like Nick was essentially doing some internet jockeying and learned a bunch of nonsense talking points from some vegans and felt like this was some cutting edge shit, right? Remember both of these dudes that are really into the weed. They're really into, the whole image of being a rebel. And of course, veganism at that time, especially, back in 2012, it probably was a little bit rebellious, right? It wasn't like it is now with Beyonce and Jay-Z and all the media telling you to go vegan and eat plant-based kibble instead of real food so that you can save the planet. That wasn't going on back then. There were a few kook vegans. Some of these raw vegans were online talking about this and that, hyping people up. You had Dan, the life degenerator, hyping the raw veganism. You had all these retards like Matt Monarch. You have some of these other snaky douchebags out there promoting raw vegan diets. Maybe this dude came upon some of that stuff and jumped onto the bandwagon. But I don't know. Let's see what Nick's doing now, though, right? So here's 7 years later. Nick, like I said before, dude's obviously been partying a lot. You look on his Instagram, and it's always party shots. It's always him drinking, getting stoned in the club, hanging out with chicks. You know, he's living it up. It seems kind of like there's maybe a little bit more going on, right? We're chasing women, we're chasing all this illusory nonsense. It's not very fulfilling, right? Living that club life, living that B-grade celebrity life. Not really healthy lifestyle on many levels. And of course, if you compound that with poor nutrition, and you compound that poor nutrition with CTE, right, with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, if you combine chronic brain injury with poor nutrition, especially with a vegan diet, you're bound to run into some issues. Unfortunately, it looks like Nick is maybe dealing with some of this now. All right, so Ariel Helwani did an interview with Nick. He released it yesterday. To be honest, it's kind of hard to watch, right? Like this is, I feel really bad for Nick watching this. I'm not here to like take shots at him or make fun of him, but I mean this is kind of shocking, guys. Now we just watched a clip from his Instagram, so we know he ain't always like that, right? Right? He seems pretty lucid in this clip. Let's see here.
In bumfuck, I don't know where. And every one of these, this is Thai food here, but it's Chinese food. And then that's Chinese food there. And then over there, that says Japan, but that's Chinese food too. I don't know. Food here at this mall.
Chinese food and everything else they eat.
And forever.
All right, so that's him recently. All right, not so bad there. Which is really good to see, because I was really worried when I saw this clip. I guess this was shot late at night, but here's Nick Diaz talking to Ariel Helwani. And in this interview, he actually talks about coming back to MMA. He actually talks about returning to the octagon and fighting again, which I would love to see, right? Like, I'd love a good comeback. What I don't want to see, though, is this dude damage himself unnecessarily. And what I don't want to see is this dude remain on a nutrient-deficient diet and compound his injuries and his traumatic brain injuries with poor nutrition, right? With a nutrient-deficient diet. Definitely don't want to see that. So, here, I blabbered enough. Let's see what Nick's up to right now. Let's listen to what Nick is all about these days.
It's like they're telling me they're promising these guys, like, I guess these guys are going to do real well. Real well is in what? You know, then the Irish boy comes out here, like, brings the whole country with him, and then now, you know, he's gonna make paper because of numbers. Okay, I get it. You know, nothing to take. That's why, you know, I don't take nothing away from that guy. I mean, he got plenty to give, you know. but I mean, look, you know, it's just like I said. But you know, I worked to build this platform. I ain't done nothing wrong. I did everything I was supposed to do to win. You know what I mean? But anyways.
Can I ask you?
You can get after, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously we covered a lot there.
Ariel lifts up his hands to, like, enunciate. He gesticulates with his hands, and Nick thought he was going for a fist bump. So, all right, this clip, he's obviously a little drunk, right? He's a little tipsy. Am I right? A little tipsy, maybe a few pills, maybe a blunt. I don't know. He seems like he's like at the tail end of a bender, dude. So yeah, like, I hope Nick's well. I hope he's not day drinking or anything like that. If you look at the comments, some people have said that, yes, Ariel confirmed that this was late at night, right? That this interview was late at night. So, what are we dealing with here? Is Nick dealing with some degeneration from a veganish diet, from a nutrient-deficient diet, compounding that with, obviously, some alcohol use? Who knows what else, right? One can only speculate. He's dealt with anxiety, right? You can tell the guy, he's anxious. He's an anxious dude. He's always talked about how he likes to smoke weed for his anxiety. And, you know, it's like when you're dealing with anxiety, medicating yourself, that's what we do, right? Like, we're human. We're all messed up. We all deal with pain. We all have fear. We all have disappointments. We all have insecurities, anxieties. We're all human, right? We all make mistakes. I don't know what else is going on in his life, but he definitely seems like he's struggling, right? Like, as far as mental clarity, his ability to enunciate himself. He was a lot better at speaking a few years back, right? Now, of course, hopefully this is not how he is all the time. I really hope this is not how he is all the time. But in this interview, he was barely able to get a coherent sentence out. He was not able to make points, the points that he was trying to make. He was not making these points very clear. He spent a lot of the interview kind of mumbling and saying, yeah, you know. All right, so let's keep going here.
Just curious, since you brought up, the fight Saturday night off the bat, what did you think of the fight itself and, of course, the controversial stoppage? How did you feel about it?
Well, I mean, it's my brother, so I hope they stop anything. I mean, and then the thing is with my brother, I mean, I had a hard time dealing with this because of what I was dealing with, and he's my little brother. I'm gonna ask him, I'm not gonna, I got stuff to deal with, and the thing is they had me on a poster to fight this guy a while ago, and I don't even know why.
Masvidal.
Yeah, I don't even know why. I don't know how that happened. You know what I mean? I got people running at me left and right talking about this and that. I'm like, yeah. Elaborating a little bit, but I don't even know why. I went up on a poster with this guy. I'm like, hey, what? You know when you talk to me? Like, what? What are you talking about?
All right. So Nick and Nate, they always kind of bumble. They're always a little stoned. Nick was never the greatest public speaker, right? He would miss press conferences and stuff. But he used to speak a lot better than this. He used to be a lot more clear. He used to be a lot more lucid, right? I don't know. It seems like he's had a few drinks in here. It seems like he's a little bit tipsy here. And, of course, we all know that fighters are taking a lot of blows to the head, right? I mean, CTE with these fighters is noticeable, right? I mean, you see it as they age. These guys start to fade a little bit. Some of them remain relatively in control of their faculties, but some of them experience a lot of issues later on in life. And you see this not just in MMA athletes, but also in other athletes that are in contact sports too, right? Football, terrible. Football's terrible, right, for CTE. And, of course, Nick and Nate, they grew up fighting too, right? These dudes, they were fighting when they were kids. And so they've been taking blows to the head forever. Nick's never been the best communicator, but he's way worse here at speaking. Somebody in the chat is super triggered, and he keeps bitching, saying, "You've never seen any other interviews with Nick Diaz." Dude, I just showed you Nick Diaz a few years ago. Here's Nick Diaz.
Arizona, it's kind of south of Flagstaff, but I was there and I saw these riders.
Listen to Nick
and they
Diaz
do this thing
talk.
called the white line.
Here.
You got to see this on YouTube.
Just disappointed about how my season went. I spent most of this race season. I did 4 races at the beginning of the season before all this McGregor shit started happening, and I had to start helping my brother. And then we had to take off to Las Vegas for the first fight, and then next fight, coming up real quick after that. So it really screwed up my whole season. I had a bike stolen. I was supposed to maybe work with Specialized or somebody to get a new bike, maybe at cost or something. It's a $10,000 bike. So that never happened. So I was out as far as road tries, and then the.
All right, so there's Nick. There's Nick actually enunciating pretty well. Even here, where he's talking about his nonsense bullshit nutrition advice, speaking pretty clearly, right?
Non-organic, so there's nothing. The food value is shit. Then we cook it, so whatever food value it does have is shit. So yes, you do need some meat. You're like, you better eat meat. You're gonna fucking die. Because the animal ate right, but you don't know how to eat right. It's a goddamn animal. You should be able to figure it out. Animal can do it.
You gotta figure it out. You gotta eat like a cow, right? So obviously not the greatest public speaker, right? But here, the dude is either wasted as shit or is completely mentally degenerating. Right? I hope he's not completely mentally degenerating and he's just wasted. But
you know what I mean?
The story came out late last year. They were fighting him in March.
Bro, I mean, I'm on a poster.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the? Come on. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's cool if I'm gonna be fighting this guy. Look, why are you doing this to me? You're just giving this advantage and giving more power to the opposite team. You know what I mean? No offense to the opposite team, but I'm like, let's just play fair a little bit here. And they always push me, hit me on, let's not, negotiate through the media, blah 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 blah. And then when someone does, it's the right thing to do. And I didn't give a fuck, so I did. And then wound up the right thing to do. then, you know, people copy me. I mean, like, I wrote the book, and I was just being honest, though. That's what I'm saying, like, you know.
There's a lot of slurs. I mean, he's got that Dr. Greger slur going on. It's hard to tell. Is he just drunk? Is he dealing with some vegan deterioration? I don't know. Dude's not even fully vegan, but he's shown that for years he hasn't been eating animal foods enough, right? So high levels of anxiety, chronic traumatic brain injury, you know, these are things that nutrition can definitely help with, right? So a lot of these athletes, a lot of these MMA athletes, of course, they're training really hard. They want to use carbohydrates, right? You don't want to pull out carbohydrates completely if you're about to be a competing MMA athlete, right? If you have a major fight coming up, you have heavy glycolytic training, you're going to be burning through that glycogen real quick. Carbohydrates are a powerful tool. But if you're retired like Nick, right, if you're not fighting, I don't even know if he's actively training, right? I mean, it's hard to tell. He looks like he's decent shape, right? Hard to tell. Can't really see what's going on as far as the shape of his physical shape goes, right? I haven't seen him training. I haven't seen him fight in years. But if you're not fighting and you're a former athlete who's dealt with brain injuries, using like a ketogenic diet can be a really good idea. Right? Now, you don't necessarily have to go full keto, but just getting in the nutrients that you require is going to be really, really important, right? L-carnitine, acetyl L-carnitine, really important for neuroprotection and developing the brain. Very, very important for the central nervous system. Real important for mood as well, right? So a vegan diet, completely deficient in carnitine. Carnitine, carne, right? I mean, named after meat. Systemic carnitine deficiency exacerbated by a strict vegetarian diet. This is about a 12-year-old boy vomiting, lethargy, hypoglycemia at a year-old. Vegetarian diet caused an increase in frequency and severity of the attacks. He was suffering from severe systemic carnitine deficiency. Responded promptly to treatment with L-carnitine. Or you could just eat meat, Mr. Vegetarian boy. Poor kid. I mean, B12. Another very important nutrient that if you are too low in B12, you're going to experience brain atrophy. And even if you are supplementing with oral B12, you can still be dealing with major nutritional deficiencies, major B12 and B vitamin deficiencies that could create brain shrinkage. And this is something that we visibly see in the vegan community. Right? We visibly see the brain shrinkage. And some of these people, you see the eyes start to go closer together. The mouth here, there's a suck up. All the fat from the face goes away. That fat from behind the eyes starts getting used up by your central nervous system too, because you're so deficient in fat. You're so deficient in the fat-soluble vitamins and the cholesterol. People's brain starts to shrink. And so, of course, alcohol, drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. I don't know if some of these ex-fighters, I know Nick experiences a lot of anxiety. Hopefully, he's wise enough not to be on any pharmaceutical anxiety meds, right? Any benzodiazepines, because these are very, very detrimental to brain function. But man, are we seeing this? Are we seeing loss of brain volume in some of these athletes? Are we seeing what we see in the vegan YouTube community manifesting in long-term vegetarians and vegans? It's very likely. It's very likely. So hopefully Nick isn't still doing his poor vegan diet. Hopefully he's eating more animal foods. But man, I mean, he could be dealing with some major issues down the line, and this will not be helpful for the chronic traumatic brain injuries that all these fighters are going to be dealing with as they age. A ketogenic diet, ketones have actually been used to treat brain injury, to treat CTE. They've actually done studies where at the time of injury, people are given exogenous ketones, and they have a very, very powerful neuroprotective effect. So ketogenic diets have been used to treat Alzheimer's as well. CTE bringing on a lot of the same symptoms as Alzheimer's in some people. Right? So this is it's not a fun thing for anybody to deal with. Chronic brain injury and chronic nutrient deficiencies compounding. But that could be what we see in some of these long-term vegetarians. All right, I got a super chat over here. Blubbersphere, what's up, dude? He must be in Australia. He's sending 10 Aussie dollars. Says, I'm not surprised. Someone that gets flogged in the head for a living thinks veganism is a good idea. What are your thoughts on Kevin Smith going vegan after his heart attack? Yeah, good question, man. Yeah, Kevin Smith. I'm not going to make fun of his shitty movies, but Kevin Smith, I'm trying to think of one good film he's made. Yeah, I don't know. He recently, didn't he just put out another Jay and Silent Bob flop? Didn't he just put out one of those? I mean, if anybody go back and watch some of Kevin Smith's Jay and Silent Bob, I don't think it's going to hold up. I don't think anyone's going to still think that's funny. Maybe when you were in, like, when, you know, 7th grade, maybe back in 7th grade, some of that was funny, but man, I don't think it's holding up. So Kevin Smith, Kevin Smith had, look at this guy. We still got this guy bitching in the chat. I let you stay around for a long time, but sorry, buddy. You can bounce. All right, so Kevin Smith had a heart attack. He had a heart attack, and of course, conventional wisdom is after a heart attack, you should go vegan. You know what's crazy is before Kevin Smith's heart attack, he had already lost like 30 pounds by doing a heavy juicing diet. Right? Vegans and vegetarians are not exempt from having heart disease and heart attacks. In fact, the number one killer of vegans and vegetarians is heart disease. They still get it. Another interesting fact, you talk to some of these cardiologists, and we talked about this on a stream a couple weeks back. Let me see if I can find, there was a, from Paul Mason, there was a tweet where, here it is. Let me pull this up for you guys. Let me pull this up for all you bigots in the chat. All right, check this out. Coronary artery calcium score of a 68-year-old male who has not eaten meat in over 25 years. Is there a problem with plant-based foods? This dude had a calcium score of 2,060. 2,060. Hasn't eaten meat in 25 years. And of course, Sean Baker showed his CAC, eating nothing but meat for years, and it was 0. This other guy, Brian Lenskis, is another doctor. He's an MD. Says, this is actually interesting. My highest CAC score to date is in a long-term 20-plus year vegan. 4,782. Negative stress tests and workup, normal insulin, lipids ratio, CRP, etc. I thought it was a fluke or bad genes. Head scratcher. So, vegans are not exempt. Vegans are not exempt from that shit. Vegans. You can still get heart disease. Right? So, a nutrient deficient diet is always going to result in deficits in cognition, deficits in performance. Especially if you're an athlete. You will notice it. You guys remember Cam Newton? You guys remember Cam Newton? We talked about Cam Newton not too long ago. Well, Cam Newton's not doing too well. Cam Newton started out his career with a bang. Right? Lots of money. Lots of, he's a quarterback. Many successful passes. Very, very high level athlete. He went vegan. Was plagued with chronic injuries. Was not recovering from those injuries. And now he might have to have foot surgery. And is probably going to get traded from the Panthers. Carolina Panthers quarterback Cam Newton is considering having surgery to repair the Lisfranc injury in his foot instead of going the rest and rehabilitation route. So he's been for months trying to rehabilitate a shoulder injury. Then he injured his foot. This is a pattern that we see of these athletes. This is a pattern that we see of these athletes getting major injuries after going vegan and not recovering from their injuries. So self-sabotaging their careers. Cam Newton about to get traded. Cam Newton's career could be over. I started out as a high-level athlete, ended it wearing a woman's babushka scarf, talking about vegan diets on his dumbass vlogs, wrecking his health, injuring his foot, not recovering, about to get traded. The body doesn't just need animal fats. The body's not the only thing. I'm sorry, you don't just need animal fats for your ligaments, your tendons, your joints. Right? We require cholesterol for making sex steroid hormones. And the brain also needs fat. Right, so here's a really good article. We talked to Dr. Georgia Ede on this channel a while back. She's pretty awesome. Georgia Ede does some really good work, has written some great articles for Psychology Today about the necessity of animal fats. All whole plant and animal foods naturally contain a mixture of saturated and unsaturated fats. Some plants are higher in saturated fat than animal fats, like coconut oil. The primary type of fat in pork is monounsaturated fat, and that's the same with beef. Beef is mostly monounsaturated fat, but saturated fat is not bad. In fact, fat in general is necessary. We got essential fatty acids. We got omega-3s and omega-6 that are necessary. EPA, DHA, required for development, for health. And you can't get these essential fatty acids from plant foods. You're not going to get EPA or DHA from plant foods. Very, very small amount of ALA may be converted in the body to EPA and DHA, but different people are going to convert at different rates. Different people are going to have issues or not have issues with converting this stuff. So we require these fats. We have to get them in dietarily. You have to eat animal foods if you want to get in your essential fatty acids and if you want to get the amino acids in a digestible, assimilable form. Right? Those amino acids that we require, they're always present in animal foods in their most easily digestible and assimilable form in the proper balanced ratio of the amino acids. You're not going to find a properly balanced amino acid ratio in plant foods. You're not going to find that. Right? Guys like Nick Diaz, guys like Nate Diaz, giving up the most important foods that they could eat. Giving up the most requisite, necessary foods for greens. For a bunch of greens. So, Nick Diaz, giving all kinds of shitty information out there. Pumping out all sorts of shitty information for his brother, for his followers. We'll see what happens with this dude, but he definitely seems to be suffering a little bit. Unfortunately, we haven't seen him fight for years. Hopefully we can see him fight again soon. It looks like maybe he's going to fight. Kind of wants to fight. We'll see. I want to see him fight again. So, Nick, obviously you're not watching this, but dude, eat some damn animal foods. Quit worrying us with the shitty vegan dietary advice you've been giving your brother, because it just might be hurting his career too, man. I mean, Nick got the shit kicked out of him by Masvidal. Of course, Masvidal is an incredible athlete. He didn't just get the shit kicked out of him because he wasn't on a meat-based diet, because he wasn't eating enough meat. In fact, we know Nate Diaz eats fish, eats seafood. We know Nate Diaz is not a vegan. We know Nate Diaz ain't a vegan. Here Nate Diaz is strategically taking a blow to the head, just waiting it out, right? Waiting it out for the 4th and 5th round, where he was really going to pounce on Masvidal, right? That's kind of the narrative that Nate's pushing. Right? Everyone loves Nate. Everyone loves Nate Diaz. No one likes to see Nate Diaz get... look at that elbow. There was another elbow in this fight, which was just brutal. I think this one is... yeah. I mean, he almost buckled under that. And then this kick to the head. Ah. But dude, Masvidal's a beast. I mean, this guy can move. And you see the focus, the drive, the intensity, the confidence. Masvidal. He knows how to talk too. He doesn't talk a bunch of obnoxious bullshit. So yeah, it was a pretty good fight, right? 3 rounds, Masvidal dominated, obviously. Now, how much did Nate's poor nutrition come into play? I don't know. But I do think Nate looks underweight for his frame. Right? Now, obviously, like, I'm not watching Nate train. I don't know Nate. He's obviously very strong. He could take a punch like nobody else, right? Him and his brother can both really take a punch and a kick to the head. So tough ass dudes. But I think Nate's a little underweight, right? If you check out his scapula here, you see them ribs popping out. Right? He's got a little body fat that he's holding on to, so he's not too lean, right? Not too lean, but I think the muscle mass could improve on Nate rather. Right? If you look at Nick used to fight at 170. He was a little bit thicker. He was a little bigger than Nate. A little bit more powerful, a little bit heavier handed. Now, this was an amazing fight, like very, very entertaining. I wish it would have went the 5 rounds. But to be honest, I'm glad that it ended in the 3rd round because I don't want to see Nate get further injuries, right? Like he got really messed up, man. Like look at this shot. After this little flurry right here, Masvidal almost finished Nate. He didn't want to take Nate onto the ground. He didn't want to deal with Nate's jiu-jitsu. And it almost seemed like Masvidal was holding back. That's another thing that you notice in this fight. I've watched it twice. I might have to watch it again. One of the better fights that's happened in the last couple of years, but it seemed like Masvidal at times was holding back. Whether it was out of mercy for Nate, right? Like didn't want to finish him too easily. I don't know, but there was a vibe that I caught that Masvidal, either out of respect or just want to put on a good show, right? And wanted to go 5 rounds and prove that he could go 4 or 5 rounds with Nate, which Masvidal wasn't about to gas out. At the end of the 3rd round, this dude, he was still there. He had no damage. Nate's eye was swollen like it always is. He was bleeding out of his eyes. And it got stopped. It got stopped in the 3rd round as a TKO, right? So if you look at Masvidal's physique, you look at his shoulders, you look at his back, right? Similar body fat level to Nate, right? A little bit more body fat. Slightly more body fat than Nate, right? Healthy body fat level for an athlete. Peak form athlete right here, Masvidal. Top of his career, right? Peak of his career. What's he, 33? Right? Not an old man. Not a baby. Peak form. But you look at the muscle mass that he's carrying compared to what Nate's carrying in his arms, in his chest, in his shoulders. I'm thinking Nate, if I was around Nate, if I had any influence on Nate, right? Which I don't, obviously. I'm going to take these out. I'm not even listening to anything. Oh, I hate them headphones. Right? Like, Nate's not going to listen to me. Nate knows what he's doing. Right? He's... The dog's lurking around. Nate's at the top of his game, kind of. Right? No one tells Nate what to do. But if I could tell Nate what to do, I put 10 pounds of muscle on him. Right? I put 10 pounds of muscle on him. I'd chill out for a couple months on the intense marathon level cardio. Right? Focus on nutrition, on getting enough animal foods and animal fats, and I'd put 10 pounds on him. I'd get him lifting a little bit, doing some kettlebells. Not like a bodybuilding routine, but I'd get him to build some strength, especially in his upper body. Right? Put some weight on those arms so when he swings them, they got some power behind it. I'd put a few pounds on him. I'd get him to the level about where his brother used to fight at, right? Nick used to fight probably like 5 to 10 pounds heavier than Nate's fighting right now. And you can see it in his face. He's a little skinnier in the face, skinnier in the frame. Whether it's just genetically he's like that, or if he's doing this via diet, I don't know. But this dude could most definitely use 10 pounds more muscle on him. And he could probably put it on pretty quickly. So he's really into the endurance training, which obviously for fighting, you need that. You need good cardio. I put some muscle on him. What do you guys think? What do you think? I think Nate needs to swing some heavier hands. I think Nate needs to put a little bit more muscle on. I think he needs to eat some more meat. He needs to reassess the diet. Really needs to reassess the diet. Right, this whole plant-based thing doesn't seem to be working out. Luckily, he ain't vegan. He's not vegan. But this plant-based thing is not doing him any good. Definitely not helping. All right, so we also saw on, what was it, week and a half ago, we also saw Derrick Lewis. Where'd it go? We saw Derrick Lewis, the Black Beast. Derrick Lewis, he's a monster. Derrick Lewis, very, very entertaining fighter. Very, very entertaining guy. Love watching this guy fight. Right? Got a lot of heart. Got a cool story. He's funny. I like Derrick Lewis. He's the one who said, because my balls was hot. My balls was hot. So Derrick Lewis, heavyweight. right? Big boy. Derrick Lewis is a big boy. Derrick Lewis is a big, big boy. Derrick Lewis lost like 30 pounds before his last fight. He looked great in that fight. Derrick Lewis looked freaking amazing. All right. What a talent Derrick Lewis is. Look at this guy. Speaking of looking great, we got ribeye here. You guys want a ribeye update? Here. Let's get a ribeye update. Come here. Come on. Come here. Oh. There we go. Oh. We got here. We got a ribeye update. You guys remember ribeye? Man, I remember some of these streams. I would start out the stream and he would be in my lap like a year ago. He was the size of his head now. That's how big he was. Now look at this boy. Look at that meat-fed dog. What's up, ribeye? Look right there. Hey, what's that? What's that? Ribeye's looking good, huh? Ribeye's eating like some of these athletes should be eating. Loads of animal foods. Loads of meat and fat. His girlfriend just passed away. We lost Daisy. Daisy died maybe a week and a half ago. It was a long, slow decline. So he's the only dog right now. We're going to get him a little girlfriend soon, but not till we move. But he's cool with it. Everybody's cool with Daisy's loss. I think I took it the hardest. I miss Daisy. Daisy was the best dog that you could ever imagine. Daisy was the coolest freaking dog. She listened so well. She taught him everything he needs to know to be a good dog too. She taught him all the rules of the house, and he listens really well because he grew up with her. So rest in peace, Daisy. Yeah, dogs are great. So Derrick Lewis, another athlete, definitely not a vegan. Definitely not a vegan. Derrick Lewis lost like 30 pounds before his last fight. Looked really good. He was on a diet. He got on a diet. What was Derrick Lewis's diet? What was Derrick Lewis's diet that allowed him to lose 30 pounds to perform way, way better as far as cardio goes? He obviously was training his cardio quite a bit. Didn't even come close to gassing. Looked a little tired at parts of the fight. It was a really, really good fight. He didn't knock him out. He won a decision, split decision. Let's hear about Derrick Lewis and his diet.
And dealing with all the craziness that we did, dealing with today with CIA, couldn't even bring nothing in really, just a distraction all around. And usually I eat something before I go out there. I couldn't even eat anything. Only time I ate once today, and it was a salad. And I just picked the meat out of it and threw the other stuff away. I'm serious. And whenever I got here, and I couldn't eat nothing.
How did Trump coming here affect? Because Kevin Lee mentioned it as like being locked down. What was the difference of coming to a fight and having to deal with security?
Yeah, for real. It felt like he was in prison and on lockdown. The whole experience, it felt like you're going to maximum security prison. You got to get patted down and make even other grown men, they telling you can't move, can't even go to the restroom, and it just felt like he was in prison, really.
Did it feel like it might affect your performance?
I thought for sure it was going to affect my performance. Usually I like to get a good sweat going. I couldn't really get warmed up before the fight, so it's like really affecting me mentally.
Couldn't even get his balls hot.
Derrick, is it fair to say you're going to be rooting for Greg Hardy to win on Saturday, even though you don't really seem to like him, just because that could maybe make that fight happen?
Oh, not at all. I want Greg Hardy to get his ass up out of UFC, making everybody else look bad. So we don't need him to win no more fights.
Do you think he even has a chance of beating Volkov? Obviously, you'd be in there with him.
I don't think so. Shit. They got on to him now, so the only thing he's asking bringing hell into the cage to help.
Yeah, where's the part about the chicken?
All the time. That's whenever I like it the most, and I try to make it seem. And so I told my coach I didn't think it was really a split decision. I thought
you weren't training as much. You were only training probably once a day.
But it's a good start, and dealing with all the craziness that we did, dealing with today with CIA. Couldn't even bring nothing in really, just a distraction all around. And Usually I eat something before I go out there. I couldn't even eat anything. Only time I ate once today, and it was a salad, and I just picked the meat out of it and threw the other stuff away. I'm serious. And
Derrick's a carnivore, guys. Derrick Lewis. Derrick Lewis up on that carnivore kick. Involuntary carnivore for a day thanks to President Trump. Damn, President Trump blowing it for all these fighters. So, you know, it's funny. When these athletes don't have the food that they need available, when these athletes are there, about to have a fight, not able to get their food in, even this dude knows what to go for, right? He picked the meat off the salad, and he just ate the meat. He didn't eat the greens. He threw away the damn greens. He threw away the damn veggies. And he just ate the meat. Because he's pretty damn smart, isn't he? Derrick Lewis. So I wonder what his diet looks like now, right? So he lost like 30 pounds. Looked freaking great, right? Super focused, super patient. Wasn't just swinging for the fences the whole time. All right, so Derrick, he's got a coach who's helping him with his diet. What's this coach's name? This dude. Nutrition. He's like a new MMA diet coach guy, but this dude's got him on a diet. They talk a little bit about what he was doing in this video here.
You know, the MMA community, I want to try to help as many people as I can mentally, physically, and emotionally. So I took a step back traveling with the fighters because it was nonstop for 3 years. Focused more on...
He was here helping Derrick Lewis for his weight cut ahead of UFC 244. Of course, he takes on Blagoy Ivanov on Saturday. Lewis, great to see you, man. How does it feel to be back doing the fight week stuff? And, you know, I know you've still been working with fighters, but how does it feel to be back doing a UFC fight week?
It's amazing. First of all, it's great to see you.
Yes.
No weight cut.
Yeah.
We're managing his weight.
Yes.
His weight has been managed over the last 2 months.
Yeah.
But it's been great to be back, really. It just feels like it's a different camp, but just feels good in many different ways. You know what I mean?
How did this all come together?
I got a random phone call from Derrick's manager and Malky from First Round Management. Derrick said that he wanted to take his diet more serious. I think they spoke to a few other people. They didn't really like what they heard. Got on the phone, and then about 2 weeks later, I got Derrick on the phone and flew out to Texas a month later.
Interesting. And I know you've actually still been working with fighters. Like, I know obviously you had more high-profile ones like with John and everything, but I know like Jose Shorty Torres.
Loretta for Bellator. Bean Nguyen, she's actually fighting in November 9th.
I just interviewed her.
She's awesome, yeah. And then I always like helping local people and amateurs. You know, I don't obviously travel with them. I only travel with a few people.
All right, so let's try to find where he talks about the actual diet. Right? How do you get a guy like Derrick Lewis who weighs 260-something pounds, walks around at like 260-something pounds, eats whatever he wants them Popeye's chicken sandwiches and shit, try and keep them balls hot. Right? How do you get an athlete like that to adhere to a diet? And what kind of diet do you put them on? Right? Like obviously if you give Derrick Lewis Nick Diaz as a coach, and he tells him, oh, you got to eat a bunch of raw greens and avoid all the meat and eat the raw greens, eat like a damn cow, it's not going to turn out too well, right? Derrick Lewis knew not to throw away the meat on his salad and to eat the greens. He threw away the damn greens and ate the meat, right? But as a coach, what kind of a diet would be good for a heavyweight athlete who's training significantly? What the heck should he eat? Right? I mean, there's a lot of factors you got to put in, that come into play here. Right? There's factors such as like the preference of the athlete. You know, what is the guy eating already? What can the guy digest? What's the guy enjoy? Right? What does the guy want to eat? What has he eaten in the past? If you give him a super strict diet, you tell him, here you go, dude. You're gonna do like cyclical ketogenic diet. You get carbs once every 3 days. But good luck. Good luck with a guy like Derrick Lewis. Right? But if you set up some simple rules like, hey, first meal of the day based around protein and fat. Eat a significant amount of protein and fat from animal-sourced foods. Don't add a bunch of carbohydrates to that meal. Get some good digestible protein and fat in the morning. That's usually a good habit to start with, right? Loading up on good protein and good fat. Right? And then maybe in the evening, give him an anything-goes meal. Right? But making sure this dude's getting enough protein and enough fat to hopefully induce satiety. Allow him to train. Allow him to maintain a caloric deficit in order to burn some of that body fat off and lose that body fat. Right? So a little bit of carbohydrate restriction at the right time, while not completely restricting carbohydrates, would probably be a pretty good way to go with one of these guys. Of course, the weight cut, different story. Right, with the weight cut, you might want to mess around with some carbohydrate fluctuation, water weight, mess around with that a little bit. But as far as just losing like 30 pounds on a heavyweight athlete, I think one of the best ways to go is going to be primarily, especially with a dude like Derrick Lewis, right? A dude like Derrick Lewis who likes eating fatty, salty foods. Dude like Derrick Lewis who's really into the fast food, the fatty, salty fast food. These people can actually adhere really, really well to a more carnivorous approach. Right? These types of athletes can actually really adhere very easily to a meat-centric diet. Right? So I would tell Derrick Lewis, look, dude, wake up in the morning, have yourself a damn ribeye, have yourself some eggs, right? Keep them balls warm with a nice ribeye, get them balls heated up, get them balls hot with a nice steak in the morning, right? Or maybe some ribs, right? Some slow-cooked meat, right? Throw a bunch of ribs in the slow cooker, nice fatty ribs, sprinkle some salt on those, make, I don't know, for Derrick, like 5-6 eggs, right? Pound of meat in the morning, 5-6 eggs. It's a good way to start, right? Not skimping on the fat, but not overloading on the fat. And then, of course, using carbohydrates selectively, digestible, easily assimilable carbohydrates selectively around training. You might not need 400 grams of carbs, but this dude's probably going to need at least a couple hundred grams of carbs per day, especially if he's training heavily. Right? So targeting those carbohydrates around workouts, that's a really good way to go about it. Of course, not skimping on the fats, but not overloading on the fats, getting plenty of sodium at the right time, keeping the electrolytes balanced, getting plenty of good quality fresh animal foods in. This dude probably perform really well. Right? On off days where he's not training too hard, going a little lower on the carbohydrates. Right? On heavy training, if he's training once a day, which I think somebody like Derrick, I think I even heard him say he was training once a day for this, which is probably better for him, right? Older athlete, 2 a day, maybe not so great. So he's training once a day, might be able to get away with 200 grams of carbs. Might want more, 300-400, right? Probably doesn't need 500-600 grams of carbohydrates. If he's using those carbs effectively, I wouldn't put a guy like Derrick on a full keto diet or a full carnivore diet. But a meat-centric approach is what I would definitely use. And what's cool about athletes like Derrick, what's cool about these big dudes, is they love fatty, salty foods, right? Like, for me, it's very, very easy to maintain high meat intake and good performance when I'm on an animal-centric diet because I love fatty, salty foods so much. And so does Derrick. So a dude like Derrick, seems like what they've probably been doing is getting him enough protein. Who knows what they're doing with carbohydrates and whatnot. But let's see if he gives any actual information on the diet.
Just a testament to something that I said 3 years ago when I started. My goal was to try to get people to not need people like me. And you do that by trying to educate people and getting them to understand that the bigger guy or bigger girl doesn't have the advantage. If you manage your weight better, you don't need people like me. And that's always been my thing. And I think fighters are starting to take more accountability for it. And I think also with USADA being here, that's why you don't see many of the other people. So.
Okay. I like that answer. What have you noticed with Derrick over the weeks, just with his nutrition and how he's looked? Because he talked to me in the interview about, just he's feeling better, his speed's better. I don't even know if he had a nutritionist even prior to this.
That's what's crazy. So what was difficult for me is this is the first camp we have together. So I flew out there and I saw a leaner Derrick. I'm seeing a fast, powerful Derrick who's not getting tired. And all of their coaches are going, this is not Derrick. And I have nothing to compare it to because this is...
No, I mean, you can see he lost a lot of visceral fat, right? He lost a lot of the fat around the belly. All that visceral fat is very associated with insulin resistance. That visceral fat is associated with inflammation. Right? If you got a lot of visceral fat, you're going to be gassing out. If you got a lot of visceral fat, you're not going to be performing as well. Right? So a lot of these heavyweight athletes, I mean, look at like Cormier. Right? That dude carries a lot of fat. He carries a lot of extra weight. It does seem to help these athletes to have more fat, right? Got a little bit more cushion for the pushing, right? Fat is very protective in certain ways, but all that visceral fat, not so helpful, right? So losing that visceral fat, damn good idea. Dude's performing really well. This guy still hasn't said what exactly his diet looks like. Let's see if we can get what exactly is the diet that he's on, right? Where he's pulling the chicken, he's pulling the the meat. He was eating just the meat and dropping the veggies, which is a really good idea, right? Especially prioritizing calories, prioritizing the important nutrients before a fight. Very, very good idea. Obviously, he's probably not on a full-on carnivore diet, But I would definitely move Derrick Lewis if I had, control over his diet. If I was his coach, I would move him towards a more animal-centric diet for sure, right? Incorporating some fruits and some sugar-based foods, some glucose-based carbohydrates. If he likes white rice, that's fine. Fruits, honey, right? Carbohydrates, real simple approach, real simple diet, but meat-heavy, meat-centric. That's probably the way to go with a lot of these guys, especially the heavyweights. Right? A lot of these heavyweights, they love to eat, and they're not going to give up their fat. Right? These heavyweights, you try to put these dudes on a low-fat diet for long term, their hormones are going to tank. They're going to feel like shit. They're not going to be able to maintain it. So something that these guys can maintain is a meat-centric diet.
Obviously, I've watched his fights. I've seen him get tired. I've seen him carrying some extra weight. When I first saw him in person, when I landed, I was like, wow, because I gave him a protocol to follow about a month out. And there wasn't much communication. And then when I got out there, I was like, he's actually taking it serious. And I think the thing that worked with me and Derrick was 80-20, right? Do 80% of what I need, and then 20% I'm going to give you some leeway, because you're not going to take somebody like Derrick who just eats the way that he was and boiled chicken and brown rice. Just not going to work. But
all right, so yeah, that exactly. You don't want to take a guy like Derrick Lewis and put him on a super restrictive diet and tell him this is going to be the perfect diet for you, right? You got to give him some leeway, right? He's going to have to be able to mess around when he wants. So if you set up a good habit, formulate a good set of habits around getting enough animal foods in, getting enough fat and protein in, the rest of the stuff really falls into place, right? Meal prep, really good idea for some of these guys. So I like it. I like what this guy's doing. I don't know. Some of these guys, they say, oh, well, don't eat red meat, eat leaner meat, eat fish, stuff like that. I think Stan Efferding's right on with his approach with most of this stuff, right? Stan Efferding, getting his athletes to eat fatty meat, red meat, not telling them to eat lean turkey, lean chicken, stuff like that. All right, the bodybuilder bro diets, chicken, broccoli, and rice. Shit. Right? Brown rice, especially, right? You want to give these guys. This dude is 200 and what did he walk in at? What did he fight at? Was he 240 when he fought? Or was he less? Did he come in at 230? I forget. Anyways, Derrick Lewis, he lost like 30 pounds, right? If you're 230 pounds, you have to eat enough fat, protein, and carbohydrates to maintain that 230 pounds. Good luck getting that in. Good luck getting all those carbohydrates in with lentils and chickpeas. Or as the great Dr. Greger says, lentils, lentils, slippies, and chippies. Lentils, slippies, and chippies. Good luck doing that. All right, so seems like this dude definitely doing some decent work. I'd like to, maybe I'll try to get in touch with this guy. Who knows how to get in touch with Louis Giordano? Anybody know Lewis? It'd be cool to get him on, just to talk to him about what it is he does. Now, a lot of these guys, some of these guys are, they're kind of like guarded. They act like they got these proprietary secrets and stuff they don't want to tell anyone about. But they're basic principles, right? Diet for a high-level athlete is obviously going to look different than a diet for somebody who is sedentary. Right? This is the dude. He's decent shape himself. But yeah, there you go. There's Derrick weighing in. Way leaner than he used to be. Looking good, Derrick. All right, so Derrick, great fight. Obviously, his nutrition was on point for this one. And on the day of the fight, he threw away the rest of the salad. And he took down the meat on that plate. He's a smart mofo. Derrick Lewis, smart dude. Definitely doing a good job. Let me come over here to the chat. What's going on, everybody? What's up, guys? Let's see if there's any super chats to read here. I want to thank you guys for all the super chats, for all the support. Thank everybody for supporting us via the PayPal link. There's a PayPal link over on the left-hand, or not the left-hand side, but in the description of the video here. We've had a lot of people who signed up as partners to help support the work we do here, which is demonetized, which is hidden in the algorithm, which is always imitated, never duplicated. Thank you guys for supporting this. I want to thank all the people who donated the last couple months when we weren't doing many streams. When we got kicked off of the YouTube streams, a lot of you guys really did help out with keeping this afloat. So thanks for the super chats, guys. I'm not seeing any new super chats that we haven't read yet. But I see Drew is in the chat. What's up, Drew Moore? Drew Moore's Balls is hot up in the chat. Make sure to check out Drew Moore's channel. Another ex-vegan, right? Drew Moore trying to make some of them vegan gains. Realize that them vegan gains were a mythical creature. Realize that those vegan gains simply were not going to happen. And he left the vegan diet. He left that plant-based diet. So, Drew Moore, what's up, dude? Hanging out in the chat, talking to Drew earlier on Skype a little bit. Seeking Truth in Christ, what's up, dude? Mariel Bishop, 800M. Got some familiar faces in here. CD. We even had the mentally and physically healthy vegan activist Frank Tefano jumped in the chat earlier to try to remind everybody that he's also streaming. You guys, poor little victim, Frankie, poor little Frankie. All right, so that's always nice. Thanks for dropping by in the chat, Frankie the Banana Girl. I'm glad you were triggered by me existing. All right, you keep doing what you're doing out there, buddy. Keep doing them vegan workouts. You keep on shadowing my content like you have for the last couple years, little Frankie. Yeah, that was funny that he came in here. Little dweeb. All right, guys. Well, let me come over here. Oh, it's Frankie's birthday, he says. Someone says it's Frankie's birthday. Happy birthday, Frankie. Happy birthday, Frank. Let's give Frankie a participation trophy for his birthday, guys. Let's give Frankie a participation trophy. I'm sure Frankie right now is over there complaining on his YouTube channel that I dare to stream on the same day as Frank. Oh, I'm sure he's over there complaining, talking a bunch of shit. Happy birthday, you little degenerate fag. All right. So, let's come over here. Too. We've got all sorts of stuff to talk about today. Guess what, guys? We got a big surprise. We have a big surprise for you guys. Anybody in San Diego? Anybody out there in San Diego? Because we've got one of the greatest vegan athletes, one of the greatest vegan educators, and a man whose verbal dexterity, whose intelligence, whose charm, whose incredible good looks are topped only by one vegan activist. Dr. Michael Greger is coming to San Diego, guys.
San Diego, I'm coming to you live. January 11th to talk about my new book, How Not to Die. January 11th to talk 11th.
Look at them eyes. Look at them eyes. Wow. Look at them eyes. And look at them lips. Dr. Greger. Come to San Diego.
Talk about my new book, How Not to Diet, which will be out in December. Talk about the 17 ingredients to an optimal weight loss diet, and then the 21 tweaks, ways to accelerate body fat loss regardless of what you eat. So excited to come back to San Diego. See you again, January 11th.
I like that sexy ass music with that sexy ass man right there. What kind of filter does he use to try and hide that big old splotch on his face? What kind of filter do you think he uses? Man, he should get Fwanky Boy to teach him some, maybe if Fwank could teach this dude some makeup skills. Maybe if Fwank could teach this dude some makeup skills, he wouldn't have to use these weird filters. What's up with his face, though? You guys seeing some more deterioration on Dr. Greger here? Look, poor Dr. Greger, right? Every once in a while I'll make fun of Dr. Greger and I'll think afterwards, man, did I go too far? Did I make fun of poor little Dr. Greger? Did I hurt his widow feelings? But then I watch 10 seconds of the things he says and I think about all the people that this dude's terrible advice is harming. I think about all the people that this dude's mental illness is spreading to. And I don't feel bad at all.
We are here with
Dr.
Michael
Greger.
Greger. It's such a pleasure.
What is that? Imagine you introduce somebody, or you see somebody, or you make eye contact with somebody, and they do this to you.
We are here with Dr. Michael Greger. It's
The last lunge forward. I'm not crazy. Dr. Michael Greger.
such a pleasure. You are author of a book called How Not to Die, which is a fantastic title, to say the least. And I wish I could give it to everybody I know for their birthday, for Christmas, for everything, because it's filled and packed with so much great research and data and information, but in a digestible format about how to incorporate a plant-based diet and plant-based nutrition to reverse a lot of different ailments that affect Americans.
Ailments like fertility that affect Americans. Wow. Dr. Greger. Dr. Greger. Right, like this is the king of veganism right here. This is the king of veganism. These people worship this dude. They say that this guy's advice is bulletproof. They say that this guy is he's the second coming of Dr. McDougal. Dr. Greger. All right, we got some super chats. What's up, guys? We got Carnivore Marathon Bear. What up, dude? Carnivore Marathon Bear. Dude or dudette, $4.99. Thank you so much for the donation. Says you've become one of my favorite YouTubers. Keep going after the one world government. Right on, man. No, we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. You know, you can hide this in the algorithm. You can demonetize all our videos, but we still get support. We still get love from the crowd here, and people still know where to come for a good deep belly laugh when they need it. Seeking Truth in Christ. What's up, dude? Says, does he think veganism will make him immortal? Doesn't veganism make you immortal? I thought it does. I thought veganism makes everybody who's veganism immortal. I thought veganism makes everybody immune to all diseases and totally mentally healthy.
So just brief introduction, but let's get into it. So within the book, you address 15 leading causes of death, which is a heavy topic to talk about, but with over 3,000 citations and scientific citation. Why isn't the scientific studies already part of our normal medical treatment and education, and why aren't people prescribing a plant-based diet yet? How
Right,
come
and these studies are published in some of the most prestigious medical journals in the world. So,
and it's been going back almost a century now.
Indeed. So here, for example, I just saw Dean Ornish, here at the conference here, who published the landmark lifestyle heart trial in 1990, proving that you can reverse the #1 cause of death in the United States, opening up arteries, heart disease, opening up arteries without drugs, without surgery, and so that was 29 years ago, right? And every year since, hundreds of thousands of Americans continue to die of this preventable, arrestable, reversible condition.
So we're saying that this is the #1 cause of death.
The #1 cause of death is not being vegan, according to Dr. Greger, right? I mean, the dishonesty just oozes from these guys. Can you be any more dishonest? Dr. Greger. Dr. Michael Greger talking about, let me find it. I've got Dr. Greger's Twitter. That's what I was looking for. Dr. Greger making some really, really funny tweets lately. I thought I had the tab pulled up. Excuse my lack of preparation. Let's hit up the Twitter of Dr. Michael Greger. So Dr. Michael Greger on Twitter, 106.1 thousand worshipers on Twitter. 106.1K plebs following Dr. Greger on Twitter. And I am one of those plebs. Follow Dr. Greger on Twitter if you want a good laugh. All right, so every day he's throwing out some straight up gems. Blueberries can significantly improve cognitive performance within hours of consumption. Dr. Michael Greger. If you want to do a good Dr. Michael Greger impression, it's somewhere between a news anchor and a TED Talk. And you have to unnecessarily, excitedly enunciate certain parts of your sentence. Eating meat during breastfeeding is associated with an increased risk of type 1 diabetes, perhaps a consequence of meat glycotoxins or paratuberculosis bacteria that may be passed through breast milk. Dr. Greger, always with the funniest fear-mongering, right? Dr. Greger is saying that if you breastfeed your kid and you eat meat, watch out, you're going to give them the type 1 beatus. You're giving them type 1 diabetes. Don't give them kids the diabetes. Don't eat meat. The kids are going to get the diabetes. Dr. Michael Greger. Are complete nonsense, right? The exact cause of type 1 diabetes is unknown, though a genetic predisposition combined with exposure to such environmental triggers as viral infection and or cow's milk may play a role. All right, so where in the hell is he pulling this from? Where in the hell is he getting this information from? Meat consumption and the development of type 1 diabetes. Meat will give you type 1 diabetes, he says. For those of you who don't know, type 1 diabetes has been very effectively treated with an all animal food diet. Right? If you check out Paleo Medicina, Sophia Clemens and Csaba Toth, they both have really weird names. They're based out of Hungary, and they're doing clinical trials. They've published research about successfully reversing type 1 diabetes, right? And getting patients off insulin completely on an animal-based, high-fat diet. Right? So their approach is basically a ketogenic diet based on all animal foods. And they've actually published a study where they got this kid, I think he was 9 or 12 years old, completely off of insulin, a type 1 diabetic, completely off of insulin, using an all-animal food diet. Pretty interesting. But here's Dr. Greger telling you that if you eat meat while you're breastfeeding, you're going to give your kid a terrible disease, autoimmune condition, type 1 diabetes. This is so dishonest. This is such blatant fear-mongering. And this dude should be ashamed of himself. But of course, psychopaths feel no shame, right? Psychopaths don't feel ashamed. What do psychopaths do? They harm people continuously. They harvest people's energy. And they blame the victims. Right? So this dude telling breastfeeding moms to malnourish themselves and to remove the most important nutrient-dense food that you can eat. This dude telling these mothers that eating meat and eating animal foods while you're breastfeeding is going to give your kids diabetes. This is completely ridiculous. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Mycobacterium paratuberculosis is not just a serious problem for the global livestock industry, but may be a trigger for type 1 diabetes, given that paratb bacteria have been found in the bloodstream of the majority of type 1 diabetics tested, presumably exposed through the retail milk supply as they can...
Okay. So, huge jump right here. A total of 29 of 46 blood samples from diabetic patients were found to be positive for MAP. So, 29 out of 46 blood samples from diabetic patients had this in it. Therefore, it causes diabetes. Completely dishonest. Completely shameful. But some of these vegans, they buy into this shit. At least some keto mom says based on bullshit. And she puts a picture of Ted Naiman. Ted's funny, man. Ted's kind of a dork. But we love you, Ted Naiman. How people actually look on a plant-based diet. Right next to him. With Dr. Greger. Dr. Michael Greger. I mean, come on. Come on, Dr. Greger. Eating meat while breastfeeding going to give your kids diabetes. Diabetes. The highest levels of phthalates, hormone-disrupting plastics, chemical pollutants are found in meats, fats, and dairy. Yes, the mass-produced meats, fats, and dairies that are packaged in plastic, of course, they're going to have loads of residues from phthalates and hormone-disrupting plastics. So are your dumbass plant foods. Also, those plant foods are containing loads of anti-nutrients like lectins, phytates, oxalates. Where's the tweet I was looking for? There's that one, and then there's another one. Now, Dr. Greger, just for a little history lesson, Dr. Greger has said in a past video that fluoride is one of the greatest things to ever happen to mankind. And fluoride is the reason why people's teeth are not falling out. Right? So this is the type of shit that Michael Greger pushes, right? Pushing the depopulation agenda, telling people to sterilize themselves, and then also chemically castrating people with his soy demon diet. Certain gut bacteria can supercharge the benefits of soy foods, resulting in even more bone protection, better control of menopausal symptoms, and lower prostate cancer risk. The question is, how can we foster the growth of these good bacteria? Those good bacteria. So if you guys just eat a bunch of soy, you're going to get all the good bacteria, guys. But meat will kill you. If you're a breastfeeding mom, make sure to only eat nutrient-deficient, anti-nutrient-rich soy foods. Just eat soy. But here's his greatest tweet of the week. Dr. Michael Greger, MD, says ketogenic diets tend to be so nutritionally vacuous that one assessment estimated that to get a sufficient daily intake of all essential vitamins and minerals, you have to eat more than 37,000 calories a day. Dr. Michael Greger coming at you live from my treadmill, speaking all sorts of nonsense. You'd have to eat more than 37,000 calories a day because you're going to be so nutrient deficient on a keto diet. Meanwhile, look what this diet has done to Greger. Check out the stream, I think it was 2 streams back, about Dr. Greger, about his nonsensical, ridiculous gesticulations and his incoherent babbling. Michael Greger can't even formulate a coherent sentence. This dude got out-angled by a 9-year-old, right? It's like that picture's gone viral. Since we talked about that, about Greger getting out-angled by a 9-year-old, that picture has gone viral. Dr. Greger, notoriously malnourished, pro-fluoride. Dr. Greger says ketogenic diets are so nutrient deficient, you have to eat 37,000 calories to not be nutrient deficient on a keto diet. And where is he getting this? Let's see what he's... No. Sources cited. Let's see. All right. So he's got some sources cited here. So at least he cited some sources. I guarantee you, if we were to go through these studies that he cited, they would not say what he is claiming they say. So many times he has been caught spreading false information. Even the researchers that he cited have had to correct him for being intellectually dishonest with his assessments and his assertions about their research. Dr. Greger, notorious liar. Notorious liar. Notorious liar, Dr. Greger says, keto diets are so nutrient deficient. All right. Absolute insanity. Right. But, hey, if Dr. Greger says it, it must be true, right? A vegan saying a non-vegan diet is nutrient deficient. I don't know. I don't know about that, guys. What do you think about that? What do you think about a vegan telling non-vegans that their diet is nutrient deficient? I ain't buying it. I ain't buying it at all. Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die. How Not to Die. Oh, man. Thomas Barnard says Spherage copied your Gregor trolling Tristan. Yeah, everyone copies this channel. It's all good. We don't complain about it. Spherage. If you do not do everything I do, you are mentally ill. You are mentally ill if you do not do what Spherage does. You know, it's funny, I actually showed Spherage how to stream. I never streamed until after he came on my thing. I actually showed him how to use OBS. Same with Fwanky, who was over here complaining earlier. This little hissy fit in the chat. Little bitch ass Frank Tefano actually didn't even know how to stream before he came on my stream as well. But it's all good. It's all good. All these bobbleheads out there. All these manic gesticulators. All these manic gesticulators and mentally ill lip lickers. Which one's grosser? Which one's more of a soy demon? Hard to tell. So, yeah, it's all good. Dr. Gregor coming at you live from my treadmill. Gesticulating unnecessarily erratically. Then you do your voice a little smooth at the bottom, and then you talk real loud unnecessarily like Dr. Gregor. We're going to have to do another Dr. Gregor stream soon. He did a TED Talk. We're going to hit up the Dr. Gregor TED Talk soon. That'll be fun. When people diet, they often increase their risk of not meeting all their essential nutrient requirements. Well, we all know that, Dr. Gregor. We all see you, Dr. Gregor, and how nutrient deficient you are. What else is going on, guys? Let's see. We had Paul Saladino. He put out an article. I haven't got to read it yet. Debunking Game Changers. Looks like he put some good work into this one. I'll have to check this one out later. We're going to do a full Game Changers stream soon. We're going to do a whole stream on Game Changers. So that'll be fun. That'll be a fun one. But speaking of Game Changers, right? Hopefully, Nick Diaz, get their nutrition in line. Hopefully they're not going to compound their brain injuries with nutrient deficiencies. But this dude right here is most definitely experiencing major brain injury and major nutrient deficiencies. James Aspie is getting haggard. James Aspie is getting haggard on that vegan diet. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, James Aspie. So James Aspie, who had a religious conversion to veganism, who knows how many years ago? I think, was it 4 years, 5 years? Who's really counting? James Aspie, he's got a really big following, right? A lot of people worship this dude. In fact, he has a little celebrity following as well. He's got some celebrities like Kelly Slater follow him and will re-gram him and stuff sometimes. James Aspie had a religious conversion to veganism and took a vow of silence. He took a Vipassana vow of silence. I think it was, I don't know how long his vow of silence was, but I think James Aspie should take another vow of silence. Maybe do like a 2-year vow of silence or like a 10-year vow of silence. I think that would be one of the most powerful forms of activism that James Aspie could engage in, would be another vow of silence. But let's see what's going on with James Aspie. James Aspie just got done surfing. It's James Aspie. I just got done surfing. Just rip some bong. You guys just want to go ahead and send me some Patreon money. The animals would really appreciate it if I could take another 3-month vacation in Hawaii.
Course, absolute standout course for me. It was, there was 2 standout courses out of my 9. My first course where I learned the technique, which absolutely changed my life forever. It gave me a tool to work with to bring more inner peace to my life, less depression, less anxiety, less stress, less anger, less suffering, and gave me a tool to practice that helped me train my mind to help me think more positive, to help me observe instead of react blindly, to help give me an opportunity to choose how I respond to things rather than just get angry, get sad, whatever. It gave me this space to always kind of have a better opportunity to choose, no, I'm just going to be okay with this. I'm just going to be peaceful. I'm just going to be happy. I'm just going to be positive. It's been absolutely life-changing for me.
He looks down because he knows he's full of shit. It's just been absolutely life-changing. Like meeting Sadhguru and being blessed by him, it's just been absolutely life-changing. Like I just can't wait to get my vasectomy. I just doing so many bong rips for the animals. Like later on, I'm going to go surfing for the animals. Make sure to send me another like $7,000 a month in Patreon for the animals, of course. Jay Dyer. What up, Jay? Jay's in the chat. What's going on, man? Jay Dyer sending me stickers. Look at that sticker. He sent me a nice little faggy bird with a coffee cup. Yay! Jay sent me some coffee. Jay's like, wake up. Drink some damn coffee. All these people are saying to roast all these different people, but I don't have any, I don't know what videos you guys are talking about. Jay Dyer, what's up, dude? Me and Jay are going to do a stream on Thursday. Hopefully, if it all lines up. We're going to be doing a stream on Thursday. Thursday evening, we're going to be talking about Orthodoxy. Jay, who's done a really good job at introducing a lot of people to Orthodoxy. We're going to be talking about Orthodoxy and carnivore. There are a lot of people who are interested in Eastern Orthodoxy, a lot of Orthodox folk using a carnivore diet. A lot of people have questions. We're going to be talking with Jay and Father Deacon Ananias. Forgive me if I said your name incorrectly. Father Deacon Dr. Ananias, I believe. And that's going to be really fun. That's going to be on Thursday night. We're going to be talking about that. That'll be a lit stream, as the kids say. As the children say, it will be so lit if you will all give up your resources to Sadhguru and go take Vipassana meditation course with James Aspey. We may save the planet and we can all go vegan to save the world from our toxic exhalations. So that'll be fun. Yeah, it's fun doing these streams alone, but it's kind of nice to. It's always nice to have someone else on a stream, right? I can babble for days, but it's nice when other people come on to exchange ideas with me. But let's see what's going on in the chat. Andy P says Frank always looks like a zombie. What's up with that? Yeah, I mean, the mental illness, physical illness. These things are rampant, right? I mean, YouTube is full of straight up degenerates, right? YouTube is full of people who are dancing around in the mental illness beauty pageant. That's what YouTube really is, right? So, I mean, you see a lot of mentally and physically ill people on YouTube. Freely the Banana Girl is one of them. You see, Dr. Gregor, right? Another one of these e-celebs, mentally, physically ill. And, there are non-vegan, mentally and physically ill degenerates as well. And you can see them on full display. It might have something to do with his plastic surgery, right? The dude had unnecessary plastic surgery. That's how he started his YouTube career, right? He's a wannabe celebrity. He's a wannabe celebrity who started his career by getting plastic surgery on his face, having his face rearranged, right? So of course he looks fucking weird. Of course he looks like a degenerate, right? And all the pee-pee and the poo-poo probably ain't helping either. All right, yeah. Look, you guys. You can ask me, there are 100 people on here, there are 100,000 people on YouTube that we can all, have a good laugh at. There are lots of mentally ill people on YouTube. If you want to study mental illness, if you want to study narcissism, right? If you want to study the effects of our toxic, weaponized pop culture, look no further than YouTubers. Look no further than guys like James Aspey, right? Guys like Frank Frufano. Right? YouTube is the mental illness beauty pageant, guys. Right? It's the mental illness beauty pageant. Why are these people on YouTube? To get attention? To have their illusions validated? To get their glass houses polished? Right? I mean, somebody like Frank, who starts his YouTube career by getting unnecessary plastic surgery and then constantly shitting on everybody whose content he rips off, accusing them of doing what he's doing, right? I mean, just look no further than YouTube for full-on mental illness beauty pageants on display. So, I don't know. What else is going on, guys? Jay up in the chat. Jay says, yes, YouTube is full of mentally ill people. It's like, come on. We all know that. We all know that. Someone says it was for his acting career. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, Frank went. He went. Got his. I mean, how much money does plastic surgery on your face cost? Right. How much money do you spend on plastic surgery on your face to get an acting career as an extra in a gay porn film? Okay. Right. I mean, there's a lot. Okay is right. It says it's a spiritual issue, which is absolutely true. Right. We're not, when you say mental illness, it's not just like, oh, you're imbalanced in your neurochemistry. Right. No, these are spiritual illnesses that people are dealing with. Right. The West is not just physically ill. It's mentally ill, and that mental illness comes from spiritual sickness. It comes from spiritual sickness. Right. So that's why you see, mutilated face Frank Tufano go on and cry about, go on and fake cry at the end of his video because, oh, Paul Saladino he's taking all my fame. He just wants to be famous. He's taking all my fame. Right, come on. We weren't here just to make fun of, we're not here to kick dead horses. Right? We're not here just to, beat up on a mentally ill person. The only reason I'm even responding to people's talk in the chat about Flanky the Banana Girl is because he was in the chat earlier. This grifter was in the chat, and he made some dumbass comment. He said like, "Oh, I'm glad you're warming people up because the real entertainment's starting on my channel," or some delusional shit like that. So yeah, we're not just looking at mental illness. We're not just looking at physical illness. We're looking at straight up spiritual sickness, right? The West is not just physically ill from all the shit food that we're eating. The West is not just chemically imbalanced from all the hormones in the food, from all the hormone blockers that they're giving the children, from all the nonsense degenerate pop culture, you're going to be famous, everyone's going to be a star bullshit that we've been fed for generations. The West is spiritually sick from its rejection of the truth, from its rejection of God, and its rejection of the foundations of the civilization that even allowed the West to flourish in such a peaceful and merciful time that God's blessed us with, while the West completely throws it away and tells everybody that putting the pee-pee in the poo-poo is how you exhibit and exert true freedom, right? The West is spiritually ill on many, in so many ways, and has been spiritually ill for a long time. It's the rejection of God. It's the rejection of the truth. And it's the complete embracing of total degeneracy, right? It's the embracing of this mutilate your body degeneracy, this go get plastic surgery and become a YouTube e-celeb, right? And the West rejects the truth. The West rejects the foundations that are required, the spiritual, metaphysical foundations that are required for truth to exist, for good or bad to exist. Right? And of course, some people are triggered up in the chat. Of course you guys are triggered. When you start talking about God, people freak out. People hate being reminded of what they rejected. People hate being reminded of what they're constantly rejecting. But people love degeneracy. And people seek all this nonsense Eastern mysticism, all this materialistic, right, metaphysical materialism, this liberation theology, this the free markets, the free market gods, or equality, liberty, equality, fraternity, or Vipassana meditation, like James Aspie.
My next 7 courses were also good, but nothing really stood out in them. I learned a few things here, I learned a few things there, but until my 9th course, the one I've just finished, was absolutely another standout. I feel like I came so far in understanding certain mistakes I've been making with the technique, things that were holding me back from more inner peace. And
So what is inner peace, right? This is what they get all these Westerners chasing inner peace. All these Westerners chasing inner peace, chasing good vibes. Like there's somebody in the chat right there says, damn, your vibes are so negative, right? Listen here, pussy. I'm not here to give you positive vibes. What is negative in your worldview, right? And by the way, you're banned. You're out of here for your gay-ass comment. Oh, you're so negative. Oh, I just want positivity. Let's all just be happy and pat each other on the back for being complete degenerates. Come on. Let's go take another Vipassana course. Let's go do Wim Hof breathing technique. Let's get high on our breath. Right? You people are out there looking at different ways to get high instead of actually embracing the truth that would set you free. You run from it. Oh, God, man. Oh, like, let's just have good vibes, dude. Let's just have good vibes, man. There he is, Norwegian Noose. What's up, man? Norwegian Noose, guys, make sure to check out Norwegian Noose's channel. Let's throw a wrench on his name. Let's throw a wrench on that name. Add moderator. Norwegian Noose and Jay Dyer are going to be on the show on Thursday. I'm really excited to talk to you guys. This is going to be a really fun conversation because I have a lot of questions about fasting in Eastern Orthodoxy. I have a lot of questions about Eastern Orthodoxy in general. I mean, I've been studying from a lot of Jay's reading recommendations, Genesis, Creation, and Early Man. This book, really, really good, really awesome. I mean, so many of the books that Jay has recommended. We've been reading the Church Fathers, St. John Damascus, and so much has been clarified for me. And so I got to thank you guys for putting out the stuff that you've been putting out. You guys, make sure to check out Jay Dyer's channel. Go check out Jay Dyer's channel right now. Go. He has a channel membership as well, which I'm going to do soon on this channel. So, yeah. Someone says, dude, bro, just show good vibes. Just smoke DMT, bro. Just smoke the DMT, bro. Just do the DMT, dude. Load up the pipe. Load up the bong, man. Wait, what happened to Norwegian News? There he is. All right. So Norwegian News says, good vibes are from the devil or Epicurus. All right. Your good vibes, man. Like, why do you think it is that these people, they go to these Vipassana retreats, they go to these meditation retreats, they go to Burning Man, they go spend a weekend at the orgy tent in Burning Man with Elon Musk and Aubrey Marcus, and they touch Joe Rogan's butt in the orgy tent at Burning Man, and they get enlightenment, right, for like 3 or 4 days, and then they're right back doing all the same stuff, feeling exactly the same way, talking empty words, empty, dead, lifeless words about how enlightened they feel. Oh, I learned how to be so happy, man. Like my 9th Vipassana course, I had this moment of breakthrough, and I realized again what I realized in the last Vipassana course that I spent $15,000 on. I realized, oh, dude, like I'm God, bro. Dude, I'm totally God, and everybody's totally God, bro. And then when I did that, I realized that I can just be happy all the time if I just do this like certain movement with my diaphragm. And if I just hold my diaphragm in a certain way, like I'll feel at peace. And if I just hum to myself the mantra, give yourself a vasectomy, put the pee-pee in the poo-poo, give yourself a vasectomy, a pee-pee in the poo-poo. If I just sing the mantra, I'm going to feel so awesome, bro. It's like, it's like, and you see these people doing the same thing over and over again and talking about, oh, I feel so good. I'm going back to my shaman. I'm going to go do more DMT. I'm going to go do another meditation course. I'm going to go do another juice fast, and just doing the same thing over and over again. And there's no real difference. There's no real difference in the behavior. There's no real difference spiritually. You don't, there's nothing different. The eyes are the same. It's all the same. Let's see where else
I feel like
James
I got more established in the technique in a bigger way. So I just want to try to explain my insights from this course and what I've learned and share them with you in the hopes that it will inspire you to practice meditation, especially Vipassana meditation. I'm sure there's many good techniques out there. I can only speak for this one because I've dedicated about 1,500. hours to sitting and observing and practicing this technique. And for sure, the change in me has been so significant and so...
1,500 hours prostrating before the Vipassana meditation demons. Come on. 1,500 hours. And this dude is more zonked than he was 2 years ago. All right, look. All right, this is October 2nd, 2019. Let's come over to James Aspie's channel. James Aspie, of course, international election meddling, vegan degenerate activist, right? Promoting complete malnutrition, promoting worship of animals, promoting all this Eastern mysticism nonsense. Let's look at his oldest videos and see what he was like a few years ago, brah. The end of an era, brah.
So James, what are you doing right now? So where are you right now? In what general sort of area?
Yeah. So this is James Aspie, I guess, when he was in his, he took a vow of silence for the animals. I guess he could still whisper and mouth words. Ribeye, come here. Hey, come here. He took a vow of silence for the animals, right? So this is him 5 years ago, though. This is him now. Big difference. Big difference. Right? He's talking about how he feels so much more enlightened. He feels so much more at peace. Here's breaking his...
Not speaking a
Oops. There you go.
single word for a whole year. That is exactly what our next guest did. James Aspie took a vow of silence for 365 days to promote compassion to animals.
To make the challenge even harder, the 27-year-old personal trainer spent the whole 12 months travelling around Australia to spread his message, and now James is speaking for the first time this morning on Sunrise. What a pleasure to have you here, James.
Can we have a drum roll? What your first words are going to be?
Oh, okay.
All right.
James, I can assume that this was a kind of Vipassana. Why did you do this?
Thank you for asking.
Oh, lovely to have you back.
How does it feel?
Great to be able to talk. Ooh, sounds different.
Yeah?
Mm.
Can you feel, is it difficult to exercise those muscles after so long?
I'll tell you soon.
Yeah, great.
Okay, the reason I took the vow of silence was to raise awareness for the voiceless victims of this planet.
Who never asked you to speak for them. The voiceless victims of this planet. AKA the animals. He's speaking for all the animals that never wanted him to speak for them. All right, so this is him
Positive,
now.
Better than I could ever have hoped for, better than any drug has ever done for me, better than any self-help book or any other practice. This has got me somewhere that I was not before, and it has given me the, drugs, they come, they go. The high comes and you back down. Or, maybe you get some benefit and you keep some of it, but Vipassana just creates such a sturdy foundation for you to continue building on. It's like training in the gym. If you train and train and train for years, you get stronger, and then after a while, you're just kind of this strong. And if you don't train, then you slowly lose your muscle, you slowly lose your strength, but all that work that you did, you don't just lose it overnight. And with Vipassana, you get stronger in your mind. You're training your mind, and that stays with you. And you just need to do a bit of maintenance to keep it up. And it's absolutely so worth it. I cannot express enough how worth it is to make this a daily practice so that you can reap so many incredible benefits and live in a way that you probably didn't think was possible.
I definitely support James Aspie going on a 10-year Vipassana retreat. Let's get James Aspie to take a permanent vow of silence until he stops being a degenerate vegan activist. Let's all vote with our dollars and sponsor James Aspie on his next Vipassana retreat. James Aspie, 352 patrons. We don't see how much he's getting though. Let's see. With Earthling Ed is making over $7,000 per month as a professional activist. James Aspie is another one of these professional activists, right? You have James Aspie, Earthling Ed, Joey Carbstrong. These guys are professional grifter activists who accept loads of money for the animals, of course, right? So that they can travel around the world, fighting the good fight for the animals. They need your money. 352 Patreons, minimum of $5 per month. They're probably all giving at least 10. Most of those probably giving about 10, right? So he's probably pulling in, anywhere from $3,000 to $7,000, much like Earthling Ed, so that he can go to Vipassana retreats for the animals. All right, so just another example of how veganism and New Age religion, veganism and Eastern mysticism, veganism and this Western obsession with Eastern mysticism go hand in hand. Right? It's funny because a lot of the Eastern mysticism systems promote veganism. They promote vegetarianism. They promote removal of animal foods from the diet for long periods of time, permanently. Right? So permanent fasting, always fasting. When you look at like Pythagoras was really into the vegetarianism and veganism. And what's really interesting, we'll probably talk about this on Thursday with Jay Dyer and Norwegian News, whose channel is here on YouTube as well. Exactly. Because I was reading one of the books that Jay had recommended, St. John of Damascus. Where'd it go? The Writings of St. John of Damascus. And there's several passages where I even marked one of them because I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. And then I found it and I marked it. Oh no, that's just where I left off. I didn't mark it. But there are several heresies that are talked about in this book of St. John of Damascus, directly naming these vegetarian, vegan cults. So I think it's really, really interesting that Orthodoxy, that the Church Fathers actually recognize this kind of demonic use of diet as like a religious tool, right? Like the exaltation of diet, like you're going to somehow go back to the Garden of Eden through eating a vegetarian or vegan diet. The Church Fathers knew this, and they actually called it out as heresies. So pretty fascinating. Foregone says, isn't it interesting that they skip over Eastern Orthodoxy and head straight to Eastern philosophy? Super weird, right? And so Norwegian News is saying that there are many more saints and councils that condemn veganism as well. There are 3 or 4 references in this one, in St. John of Damascus. In, what is it, the first, it's called On Heresies. In the section On Heresies, there's 3 or 4 mentions of restriction of animal foods. And it's funny because all of those cults, they also tell people not to have children, right? They would also restrict procreation in I think at least 2 of the cults which he mentioned, which I thought it was so amazing because when you look at the vegan vegetarian movement now, there's a huge tie-in of vegan and vegetarian ideology with antinatalism and with the idea that having kids is bad, that it's going to destroy the earth, and that it's so terrible. So Jay Dyer says the Encretite heretics in St. John were vegan heretics. St. Hilary mentions the Brahmins. I mean, it's so interesting. So I don't want to waste a lot of. I mean, we're giving you guys a little teaser for the next I almost said super chat because Freudian slip. Where's the super chat? So there's a teaser for the next stream. It's going to be on Thursday, so that'll be fun. We're going to be talking to Jay Dyer, the Norwegian News. Both of them, they got wrenches in the chat. You can check out both of their channels. If you don't already know, you go check them out. But it's just so funny because the veganism and the vegetarian cults, they also had this antinatalist humans are bad aspect. And then a lot of these, I mean, we all know that a lot of the pre-Christian, a lot of the pagan religions heralded human sacrifice as well, right? So it's like these religions that that will exalt human sacrifice and engage in, you know, human sacrifice and child sacrifice. Also, we'll talk about veganism and vegetarianism as a spiritual pathway to enlightenment. It's really crazy. Jay says, Tristan, look up the Encratites. The Encratites. They forbade marriage too. Encratites. Right on. It's fascinating. Where's that book? Oh no, did I lose it? There it is. Another thing. You know what else? Another book that you would really like, Jay. And this kind of ties in with some of this stuff, but not really so much with the vegan vegetarian nonsense, but just history, practices of pre-Christian cultures. It's funny when you read what was going on in South America from like the conquistadors. Like there's this book here. Anybody interested in the history of Latin America, of the Americas, check out this book. I'm going to get the title right. I always butcher the title. It's by Pedro Cieza de Leon, and the book is The Travels of Pedro de Cieza de Leon, contained in the first part of his Chronicle of Peru. But it's funny when you read about like the practices of a lot of these cultures that all these Westerners exalt, right? These Westerners, they think it's so cool that these shamans exist, and all these shamans, they're going to enlighten everybody. They just want to give you the medicine and enlighten you. But it's funny when you look at the cultures where these practices and these so-called shamans come from. These shamans who they consider themselves sorcerers. They consider themselves sorcerers, magicians, and they call themselves brujos. They call themselves witches. All right, these shamans, they come from cultures and regions where they were openly engaged in human sacrifice, in cannibalism, in child sacrifice, and all sorts of crazy shit. So, it's a really long book, and the first half of it, most of the first half, are about his travels. Pedro Cieza de Leon, and he was a Spanish chronicler who witnessed a lot of crazy stuff, and he talks about his firsthand accounts of seeing some of this stuff that was going on in what was called Peru, but Peru was basically from Quito all the way down to Chile, was what they considered Peru. Like it was the whole Inca Empire, and all these tribes outside of the Inca Empire, most of them were still cannibals. Most of them, especially on the jungle side, were very, very violent, and it was savage. I mean, he's talking about ritual sacrifices where they were opening up in the third trimester, like the 9th month of pregnancy, and opening up the womb and eating babies and stuff, and then eating the women alive. The chiefs in these villages, it wasn't like the most enlightened shaman who was just going to heal everybody with this medicine was the head of the villages. No, it was like the chief warrior. And in a lot of these villages that were not yet under conquest by the Inca, a lot of them were really, really crazy, and they would take slaves from neighboring tribes, and they would keep them and feed them and fatten them up and then eat them. It's just crazy. Like so the practices of these people that so many Westerners exalt and think that they're so enlightened and that they're going to like save us from all the problems of Western civilization, which they've been led to believe are so-called Christianity and morality and the existence of objective right and wrong and all this stuff. They think that that's all outdated, and we need to we all got ripped off or whatever by by culture. We want to go back. We want this archaic revival like Terence McKenna was talking about, right? But those cultures were completely degenerate human sacrifice cults. So this is another really interesting book by Pedro Cieza de Leon, The Chronicles of Peru. Brenton's talking about Aztecs using psilocybin mushrooms during human sacrifice rituals. Exactly. I've talked about this on streams before too. That's in this other book. See, I've been meaning to do some streams on this stuff, but I haven't gotten to it yet. But this book called The Aztecs, there is a section in here. I forget what page it was. It talks about the practices of when they would eat the mushrooms. The Aztecs would eat the mushroom in giant human sacrifice blood orgies that were giving blood to Gaia. Right? That's what they were doing. Right? The mushrooms were used ritualistically. They would give them to the victims of human sacrifice because it would make them complacent, but also the people that were engaged in the sacrifice, the priesthood, would be munching these mushrooms too, getting all blasted out of their head on these mushrooms, tripping out, and they would be doing human sacrifices and just huge bloodbaths. So it's people who want to reject Christianity and believe that, oh, Christianity's so bad, it's so mean. We need to just go back to the archaic revival. We need to go back to this. I don't know how you're going to go back, right? All these neo-pagans talking about my ancestors, and these were a lot of these cultures were completely degenerate. So, yeah, all right. Nondescript, what's up, man? Sends $4. Thanks for the super chat. $4 super chat says, can you guys address Timothy Chap? Who's Timothy Chap for? I don't know who he is. Oh, wait, there he goes. Quack medical medium. Yeah, medical medium. I'm going to have to do a whole stream on him. I am kind of concerned when you do streams on specific people. Like if you do Osho Foundation removed our stream a couple times. Osho Foundation removed it twice. So, yeah. What is it? All right, we got all sorts of loads of triggered people in the chat here. All right, so yeah, we're gonna have to do a stream sometime soon. We'll have to do a stream on the mushroom cults. We'll have to do a stream on that stuff, and then also we'll have to do some streams on these the whole like psychedelic revolution and all this so-called psychedelic movements, and then we'll also have to do a stream on the medical medium. All right, so medical medium, that's on the list. I'm going to tell Jessica to remind me. Do a medical medium stream. And we've got a bunch of streams coming. Anyways. Let's see. It's been a couple hours now. Hasn't it? Let's see. We've got 177 people watching. 177 bigots watching this. 177 bigots who refuse to sterilize themselves and go vegan to save the planet from ourselves. All right. We got 177 bigots. A few of them are triggered that I'm making fun of Vipassana. A few of them are triggered. Guys, calm down. Calm down. I'm not attacking you. Yeah, we should go through all these psychedelic gurus, says Jay. Yeah, Jay, let's do so. It's fun talking alone. I can make jokes. Dr. Greger. But it's better when I've got someone else. So, yeah, it's great to have not just someone else, but my buddies like Jay. I'm looking forward to the stream with Jay and Norwegian Noose on Thursday. Let's see, Jay and I'm calling it out. Jay, you got to do a stream with me on, we'll talk about the Aztecs and human sacrifice cults and mushrooms. I think that's a good one. We could do a stream on that. We'll keep it tight. We don't have to do too broad of a stream. And then we can start going through these psychedelic gurus and going down some of these, like we can do some of these Vipassana people. We'll have to do a stream. We'll do Aubrey Marcus, right? So he pushes a lot of this stuff too. He pushes the plant medicine cults and all this. And look, I'm not saying that all plants are bad, that no plants have medicinal uses. What I am saying is a lot of these plants that are going to put you in altered states of consciousness, these are very, very dangerous, right? They're used ritualistically for very, very subversive reasons, and the things that you're coming in contact with in there always tend to give people the same nonsensical bullshit message. You're God, bro. You're God. You can never die, dude. You're just going to live forever. You're going to like reincarnate in like another dimension, man. And it's all just love, dude. It's all God. And the rocks are all God. And Charlie Manson is God. And Frankie the Banana Grill is also God. And Vipassana Meditation Center is God. And Jim Jones is God. And it's all God. That's what it always tells people. And also, these cultures that were using it, why were they doing ritual human sacrifice? Why were these spirits or their ancestors or their whatever they believed they were, why were these things telling them to eat babies and stuff? Why are they telling them to do all these terrible things? All right. So, yeah, we're going to have to do some of that. That'll be funny. The self-transforming machine elves. The self-transforming machine elves will tell you all the secrets of all of the universe. And if we all just eat the mushroom, we can all join the human sacrifice cult of Western civilization and get rid of all the babies and destroy all the third world so that we can use up all the resources for ourselves in our materialistic Malthusian worldview that is completely Freemasonic and demonic. All right, James Aspie's still up on the screen. Let's see what he's been doing lately, right? This was October 2nd when he put out this video.
Imagine not speaking a single.
He broke his... All right, so it's been like a month. Christians debate hunting with a vegan. It's 14 minutes. We're not going to watch that one. Maybe I'll save that one. That's a good one to watch on a future stream. Maybe we can even save this one for Thursday's stream when Jay and Norwegian News come on. Maybe we can look at some of these debate videos and critique the angles of debate that some of these people decide to take. But let's see here. What else I got pulled up? Vegan hype, the Titanic proportions is a game changer in diet spin. I've also promised you guys another stream on the so-called Game Changers film. The Game Changers. We also got to do another one there. So yeah. So who are some of these new age gurus that we should talk about? Let's see. Norwegian News, Oprah. It says Toe Rogan, Oprah for goofus men. Yes, exactly. I said that like a while ago on a stream. I think I made the same joke. It was basically Joe Rogan's just Oprah for normie dudes, right? Funny. Great minds think alike. Critiquing debates is my jam, says Norwegian News. Yeah, that's a good one, man. There's so many of these debates, and people use terrible arguments. Terrible arguments. The Christians debate hunting with a vegan. What do you think the arguments they're going to say are? Right? And the vegans, very often, the vegans will out-debate many Christians in these arguments. You know, a lot of these Protestants and stuff. You see them get kind of taken down by the vegan or tripped up, confused. Right? Because these people are not going down to the basic presuppositional level, which they should be going down to. That's what I think. Of course, I'm not an expert debater. Jay's much better at these debates. He's very patient in them. So yeah, that'll be fun. We can talk about that. We should also maybe we can do a stream just on like the evolution cult, right? And the roots of Darwinian evolution. I know Jay's done several streams talking about this before, but people think I'm full of shit when I say that Freemasonry actually holds the keys to Darwinian evolution, and they actually, a Freemasonry and the Royal Society have actually pushed this stuff. They actually pushed evolution. Let's see. Somebody says Teal Swan, Seven Bomar. There you go. Yeah, we got a few of those. Teal Swan, I've seen her. I mean, you can just, there's some of these channels like Buddha at the Gas Pump, and they just interview all these so-called spiritual people. And there's a load of these gurus there, like Muji. Yeah, we'll do it and show the Masonic origins of evolution. Yeah, there's another one. We just named like 10 future streams. So we'll start doing some notes on this. David Wolf, right? I mean, he's not even he is like a spiritual guru type guy, but he's like, vegan spirituality. Vatican creators of evolution, says Naomi. Yeah, well, the Vatican pushed this a lot. I don't think evolution as a doctrine actually started in the Vatican, because the Freemasons talked about the transmutation of species. Freemasons are really into Pythagoras, who was also into the transmutation of species. So a lot of this stuff goes back to Freemasonry. A lot of this stuff goes back to the Royal Society, which is kind of a Freemasonic organization. Masonry got it from the Vedic texts, Jay says in the chat. Exactly. So, yeah, Manly P. Hall, his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, it's funny because he talks a lot about evolution as doctrine in there and like the different threads. And Freemasonry is all about spiritual evolution, right? So they buy into the idea that there's this transmutation of species. Therefore, some species are more evolved and some are less evolved. Well, obviously, that must apply to humans too, they say, right? So some humans are just more evolved than others, right? Like Osho. Osho is so much more evolved than all of us plebs, or Sadhguru, or David Wolf, more evolved than us plebs, or Dr. Gregor the Great, Dr. Gregor the Vasectomite. They're so much more evolved than us, and it's a slippery slope. You're going to become a god. You're all going to become gods through Masonic rituals and putting the pee-pee in the poo-poo. Yeah, alchemy, exactly. All right, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Seeking Truth in Christ, just made a bunch of, yeah, that's funny. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he is a spiritual guru in many ways, right? He's like Joe Rogan's guru. Joe Rogan loves Neil deGrasse Tyson. Madonna. Yeah. Well, yeah, and all the Kabbalah stuff is really big in Freemasonry as well. It's funny. Freemasonry, it's like this black box that they just try and like spiritual wash every one of these old traditions and pretend like they're the true holders of all the ancient knowledge, right? Like we have all the knowledge of the ancients and we're the ones who did all this. We built the pyramids. We was Kangs. We was Freemason Kangs. We was Freemason Kangs. Yeah. Transhumanism, right, being the ultimate. Transhumanism is the ultimate logical extension of evolution, right? The belief in evolution logically leads to transhumanism. Isn't that funny? Cowitarian, throwing the transhumanism robots up. Yeah. We should do a Varg one too. Oh, you can't really, maybe he got kicked off of YouTube, so there's no clips left of Varg. He had some funny stuff. Ashley says, my brother just requested all these alchemy and occult books, so I just read through all the stuff on Amazon today. All this stuff, there's so much of this stuff getting pumped out, right? It's just rehashing the same old ideas too. Right? Like just all this mysticism that gets pushed now. Why does it just happen to be all the same stuff that Blavatsky and Alice Bailey were talking about? Right? And Crowley too. Like Osho basically taught Crowleyan rituals, right? These ecstatic dance type techniques that they use, like ecstatic dance and ecstatic breathing, and they make people freak out their nervous system and get them in a hyper suggestible state, running around, thrashing their body, screaming, yelling, going crazy, and then stop and go silent, right? Weird rituals, but a lot of this stuff came directly from Crowley, stuff that Osho was doing. I wasn't able to find any direct quotes of Osho from Crowley, but I'm pretty sure that he was heavily influenced by the Crowleyan stuff. So yeah, we did an Osho stream recently, and it was a couple hours, and it was like, we still didn't even have enough time to get into all this stuff, right? Someone's mentioning Anton LaVey, right? LaVey and Satanism. Jay says Crowley likes Pentecostalism for the same reason, no joke. That makes sense. That makes sense because the Pentecostals, yeah. Because when Jay says Crowley liked Pentecostals for the same reason, no joke, and that makes a lot of sense because you look at like the Pentecostal, the hyping yourself up emotionally, or even just like the mega church like concerts, right? These mega church concerts when everybody's like 30,000 people in the crowd, Greg Laurie and the Harvest Crusade and all this stuff that they do in California. Same thing, hyper emotional states, highly suggestible, hyper emotional states. It's the same thing that these people do in the ayahuasca rituals. It's the same thing, except they have drugs to make it more powerful and to open people up more, right? So they do the breathing techniques. They do meditation techniques. They do group ecstatic dance techniques in these in some of these groups, and it all ends up leading to the same hyper suggestible, open to spiritual suggestion state. And people end up leaving feeling a little bit high, feeling a little bit zonked, and talking about, oh, I'm so enlightened, but then they just go through the same cycle over and over again. It's weird. They changed their name to the Heresy Crusade. Yeah. So, you know what's crazy? When I was a kid, what turned me off to Christianity wasn't the Bible. It was my Protestant neighbors and all the, like, it was the Harvest Church, right? So I grew up in Southern California. And there was all this mega church stuff going on. There was Harvest Crusade, and there was another one, like there's like Sandals or some other church like that. There were a lot of these like mega church type groups, and I remember one time, so my neighbors, they did like this Bible study thing, and I would want to go because my friends wouldn't hang out there, so I'd want to go play with the neighbor kids, and they would sing some songs and stuff, and it was kind of nice. You'd sing the kind of like Protestant songs, somebody play a guitar or whatever. And I remember being in the garage, and the kids would go out in the garage, and we had this big table on the ground, and we would sit down and we'd do like a lesson, and they would tell us, one of the stories from Genesis or something. Sometimes we would actually read the Bible. Usually it was, read a couple passages or do some worksheet or whatever, and it was like, it would just go for the fun. My parents were agnostic atheists. I wasn't an atheist. I never bought into the evolution thing. That never made sense to me either. But I just didn't resonate with it. I didn't understand theology at all, right? And my heart hadn't been open. Nothing had been revealed to me really. So I remember though specifically this one time when we were doing a lesson, like a Bible lesson, and my parents liked to drink wine. They weren't drunks, they weren't degenerates, but they would have like some wine with their dinner. And I knew that like all these people that went to this little Bible study, none of them drank at all, like no wine at all. So I asked them, well, Jesus turned water into wine, and you're telling me that alcohol and drinking alcohol is a sin, right? So they get to make up their own interpretations of the Bible. And this guy told me, and this was a stumbling block for me for a long time, right? It was like this. It was this moment that I can't forget. I said, well, my parents drink wine, and they're not drunks. And you people say that wine is so bad, you can't drink wine. But Jesus made wine. He turned water into wine. And the guy says, oh yeah, but the wine back then was different. It didn't have alcohol. It was more like grape juice. That's just, oh, dude, like I knew he was lying. So it was like, I mean, that you can completely turn a person off and with something like that, right? It was a really funny moment. So yeah, he tried to tell me, yeah, it wasn't really wine. That was it was like grape juice. Jesus made grape juice. It's just sad. Like I laugh, but I mean, it kind of was like I was like 8 years old, 9. I had to be less than 10 years old. 3rd, 4th grade. I just remember thinking, like, what a hypocrite. Like, this dude just lied. This guy just lied to me. I don't know. So, yeah. Sectarians always invent new weird rules of being holier than Jesus, says Jay. Yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird. Let's see. What's going on, guys? Where all the super chats at? This stingy-ass crowd tonight. Look at this stingy crowd. Someone says OTO, Thelema OTO. Pagan LARPers think they're rejecting the system. That's crazy. Norwegian News says I actually went to school with Greg Laurie's son in high school. Yeah, that's interesting. He's really Greg Laurie. I don't know. He's funny. He was when my mom was a kid. She knew people who went to like Greg Laurie's church. And my uncle, I remember my uncle, he's like a Baptist guy. He's like a Baptist minister. Real nice guy. But, he had this experience where he saw Greg Laurie somewhere. And Greg Laurie had been a real influence in him converting, right? So Greg had influenced him in his conversion somehow. He saw Greg Laurie in public, and he went to try to say hi to him, and Greg Laurie's bodyguards stepped up in front of him and were like, hey, dude, back off. Like, don't touch the Greg. And he didn't even get to tell him thank you, right? Because he was just such a big shot. He got totally big shotted by him. Yeah. Jay Dyer says, no, wine meant wine. Deuteronomy even says drink hard drink on feast days. It's so crazy. It's so ridiculous. So there's a lot of stuff like this that Protestants get so confused about, right? So that always kept me away from it. It kept me away from Protestantism. And I always had this feeling that, I think we all know. We all know that there's more than just matter. We all know that we're not God, right? We know deep down inside that there is a God. And yeah, but that was a big stumbling block for me. All these dang weird Protestants. Ashley Noel, what's up? Ashley, I've seen your name over the years. Thank you so much for the super chat. Ashley, I prodded Ashley to send a super chat. Thank you. $25 super chat. Thanks a lot, Ashley. I've seen you. You've supported the channel here for a long time. And it's always nice to see people who stick around, right? Who just don't come for a couple tips on diet or something and then leave. That's why we like to hit on all these other topics, right? We're way more than what you eat. It's fun helping people with diet, helping people get healthy, but the root of our sickness is not just physical. So I appreciate that you've been around, hanging out, watching the stuff we've been doing here for a while. She says, Tristan, I've been a fan for 5 years. Thanks for making it a cool ride. Best to the family. Thanks a lot, Ashley. I'm also a fan of you, Ashley. I'm a fan of all you guys. You got some really cool people in the chat. I've seen your names for a while. Somebody says that Epstein didn't kill himself. Dude, what's with the hate speech, bro? Why are you being all anti-Semitic and hate speechy? Epstein didn't kill himself? What evidence do you have that Epstein didn't kill himself? Are you like some sort of a bigot? Are you some sort of like... Do you hate Israel? It's messed up, bro. I'm a huge fan. Israel's our greatest ally. Deuteronomy 14:26 says Jay. That's interesting. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, and for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatever thy soul desireth. That's funny. So I didn't realize that. And that feast. Yeah, thanks for that one, Jay. Interesting. No, it's crazy how people do. How people will misuse scripture, misinterpret it, and that's always something that was a huge stumbling block for me. So I got to thank all the ortho bros out there who've been so kind to me and who've kind of shown me, goaded me along as I stumble and bumble around this journey, trying to figure out what's really going on here. I got to thank all the ortho bros out there for showing me the writings of the church fathers. I got to thank Jay for hooking it up with so many good reading recommendations there. So really cool. All right. So what else is going on? What else is going on, guys? Wine that makes the heart glad. Grape juice doesn't make the heart glad. Yeah. Well, I think so. A lot of these neo-pagans have such a obsession with the mushrooms and the ayahuasca and stuff. That's a funny world. It's interesting to see how that all ties into with the vegan stuff. Like, before these people do their ceremonies for their ayahuasca, a lot of these shamans tell them not to eat meat. They do a special diet of just rice and plantains or something for a while to open themselves up and make them more sensitive to the spirits or whatever. It's a funny world, man. Someone asked, did you ever do mushrooms and ayahuasca? Yeah, I did all that stuff, man. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes as a kid and as a young adult. I mean, I've done it. I've done that stuff. Don't recommend it. Yeah. All right. Well, I've been going for like almost 3 hours. I've been going for almost 3 hours. I think I should wrap it up, guys. It's been really nice hanging out. Always nice hanging out. Thanks, you guys, for all the super chats. Thanks, everybody who supports the channel via... we don't have a Patreon, but we might have to make a Patreon. But thanks, everybody who supports the channel via PayPal. You can make donations via PayPal. If you do want to support, you can also check out... Where's my book? Where's my book at? Shit, just ripped the cover of that Aztecs book. You can check out the Carnivore Cookbook for people who really love animals. PrimalEdgeHealth.com. Got that book available now in print and as an ebook. You can also check out the Keto and Carnivore Collective. We're starting next Monday. Keto Carnivore Collective getting down next Monday. That's going to be fun. Badgerwise, $4.99 says your recent Is Cockroach Milk Vegan video was a mini masterpiece of poignant persuasiveness. Much love. Thanks, man. I really like that video. I think some of my best videos are some of the least viewed videos. Right? And it's a damn shame how YouTube works now, like the mental illness beauty pageant of YouTube. It's just about throwaway content, clickbait nonsense. And I spent 2 days or so making an edit that I find, like, I don't know, it's just, for me, it's kind of therapeutic sometimes doing these edits because I make them kind of funny. I weave a lot of really difficult to understand topics and try to, create a narrative with them. And I have fun making these edits, and I'm glad you guys like them because YouTube sure doesn't like promoting them. And I wish people would actually see these videos, but they don't get seen. The views on the streams actually are higher than the views on the straight videos, the shorter ones on those edits. So I really like that format. I really like that style. I'm glad some of you guys like it too. For those of you who don't like that, who don't like the videos I make, you don't have to watch them. You also don't have to comment and complain that you don't like them. If you don't like the robot voice, you don't have to listen. You don't have to watch the videos. I like it. That's how I'm expressing it in that video. That's how it's supposed to be in that video. Right? It's done for a certain reason, certain effect. It doesn't have the same effect if I go on and use my stupid retard Southern California accent voice to say some of these things. Sometimes it's better to do it with another character. If I had a gang of voice actors, it could be even better. Right? But I love the NPC voice. It's sick. I love it. I love it. It works. It cuts to the bone, right? It gets the point across, and it's hilarious to me. So, yeah, glad you guys like it. Everyone here likes it. And the people who don't like it and they come and complain, they get kicked out anyways, right? Because remember, this isn't the public commons. This isn't just you come and tell me why you don't like me, why I'm a big meanie. Oh, you're so egotistical. Oh, you're a bigot. You're a Christian. I hate you because of this or that. I don't care about all that. You're just going to get banned. Right? When you come and watch my streams, you're coming into my living room. Right? You're hanging out with me in my room. This is not, I respond to you and do what you want and dance. This is, if you want to listen, you listen. If you don't like what you hear, you bounce. Right? So, I got to thank everybody for hanging out. Thanks for kicking it, guys. Thanks for enjoying. Thanks for enjoying the stream. Thanks for sending the super chats and supporting. Thanks for everybody who supports via PayPal. And you guys make sure to check out the next Keto and Carnivore Collective starting on Monday. There's a link you could sign up for the Keto and Carnivore group coaching. We do it in a live Discord server. It's a private forum. You can join. You can join in on the voice chats from wherever you are. We do 2 voice chats per week. We do a lesson and a live Q&A every single week for the whole month. Help you set up a solid foundation of habits, nutritional habits, and lifestyle habits so that you can maintain them long term and get to the goals you're trying to get to. A lot of people trying to lose body fat. A lot of people just trying to get rid of autoimmune condition, nagging injuries. A lot of people trying to recover from vegan, vegetarian diets long term, joining the Keto and Carnivore Collective. So, guys, if you want to join in. We're starting next week. It's going to be a good group. We're probably going to do a sponsorship contest on Instagram, so you can follow us on Instagram, and we might just sponsor you for the next Keto and Carnivore Collective. So thanks everybody for hanging out. Thanks everybody for who came and complained in the chat, who doesn't like me and thinks I'm a big meanie. Thank you guys for voicing your opinion. You're not welcome back if you don't like the content. If you're gonna bitch and cry, you're not welcome back. And that includes you, Little Frank Tefano. Little Frank Tefano came in the chat and complained and tried to start some shit, who got all mad because I ignored him. That goes for you too. So remember, guys, you're way more than what you eat. Thank you so much for hanging out, guys. Be back here on Tuesday, maybe before Tuesday. And I'm out. Peace, bigots. God bless.
Trying to raise the sense of urgency around climate change.
What ups, Reflections? I am not a bigot. I am ready to save the planet by doing exactly what the big banks tell the TV screens to tell us to do. I feel so empowered on my #vegan journey. Join us as we chant empty slogans for #climate action written by PR firms. We need to save the earth and demand a global totalitarian technocratic government run by big finance and the Fortune 100. Our house is on fire and we need the nice grown-up government to take everyone's land and resources and ration us delicious, sustainable, nutrient-fortified vegan kibble. This is an emergency. Mommy Earth is crying so sad because she wants the mean grown-ups to give poor little 16-year-old human shield Greta her future back.
Do you have anything to add to these debates about just, in particular, the idea that it's kind of too expensive to deal with climate change?
I mean, it is, the money is there. If we can save the banks, then we can save the world. I mean...
Jeffrey Epstein committed suicides and was working alone. Veganism is desirable and fun and make me smile big happy on my insides. I do not hate children. I am not a science denier. I do like science. To fix the #climate crisis we need to sterilize ourselves, starve ourselves, eat babies and grandma and move to a social engineered #smart city to save the earth. There is no time to examine the inconsistencies in our claims or actions or the billions of dollars being leveraged to brainwash us into thinking we want this. We want #climate action now and a #plant-based food system of sustainable fortified kibble. We are not being used. We are truly empowered and full of energy that we are using constructively. We are so empowered and not deceived.
We all share the same values, so we just need to align those values with our actions and join forces. We all want the same thing. We want to see an Earth in the next 50 years.
The money is there. If we can save the banks, then we can save the world. I mean...